It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Thursday, April the 25th. Good morning. Led Zeppelin rock and roll. A perfectly appropriate way to start any day, every day, all days. I get excited. We're wearing headphones in here, and that music's coming in way louder than any hearing doctor would suggest I listen to it. It puts me in a mood, though. Puts me in a mood. I want to talk about the fact that last night, my wife and I, we made dinner. And then as we were making dinner, she put on some music. And she just put on a random sampling of Beatles music. And we're sitting there looking at each other, songs we've heard a million times, mostly late era, 67, 68, 69 Beatles. And every time the next song would start, because we don't know what's coming, we'd be like, oh, man. And then at the end of every song, we'd go like, God, there's just not a bad one in the bunch. And it kept going, and it kept going, and it kept going. And then I looked up, and I was like, oh, we drank all the wine.
It was a wine night last night. We got into the
we drank all the wine
too. Yeah,
we drank all the wine, and then we just kept on eating, just kept on going. Like, didn't even notice that we were way past the point of where we would have normally finished our meal. Normally, it was a nice Italian. She made a nice pasta dish, and there was a salad and the whole thing. And instead of what we normally have, which is something left over to eat the next day, because I love cold pasta, we just ate the whole thing. We just ate it all. We just kept going.
Finish it up. Yep.
It was a combination meal and snack is what it was, because we just kept snacking. We were grazing after we had eaten a full meal. That's the power of the Beatles.
I don't know. I don't think we had the Beatles last night. We had lasagna and a bottle of wine last night. Yeah. Isn't that weird and coincidental? And I just ate till I ate and drank so much last night that I took aspirin before I went to. I'm just popping some now because I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night with a headache and be pissy. So I'm just going to pop the Tylenol. That was my dessert last night. Not 2. I went with 3 extra strength Tylenol.
Nice. What were you drinking?
Knocked me out. I don't know, something red that goes with lasagna.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
I thought you were. Oh, you actually did. I thought you were I thought you were implying that's what we had. But you're saying you did the same. I got you.
No. We went lasagna, bottle of wine last night, and I think there might have been a second. I think there was another. She got one of these fancy electronic uncorkers. I'm always busting off a cork or I like the screw on tops. That's the stuff I buy. Pretty good wines, by the way, as we move away from that cork shortage thing. Yeah, she's got the one, and out it comes, man. And then, and somehow you drink it faster because the cork came out faster.
I can tell you this much. What I've learned is anytime in the morning you hear yourself saying, did we open another? But the answer is yes. If you're asking, you did.
I do. I remember seeing a second label there and thinking, that's not the same one we started with.
Mm-hmm. We just keep going. We kept going, and then at some point, though, what always happens with my wife is she's like, "I need something sweet." That never happens to me. I don't snack sweet. I'm salt all day with the snacks.
Me too, but I like something sweet after.
Occasionally,
I tell you what, I go back and forth. I just mowed down a couple of days ago. You get a bag of those kettle chips.
Sure.
Those kettle cooked chips, and then I like to pair that up with a dark chocolate covered almond, a bowl of those, and I just go back and forth from bowl to bowl.
Yeah.
Chips to chocolate, to chocolate.
If I am going to mix chocolate in, I do prefer it. I do prefer a mix. I do want some salt next to it. Just to sit down and just have chocolate, though, that's just not me. More people, in fact, way more people snack salty than sweet, which I was surprised by. I thought it was just me because I'm in a house full of chocolate heads. So I didn't realize that I was actually more along the lake. Do you snack at a certain time of day, or will you just, is there a specific time where you're more likely to, or is it just throughout the day at any time?
I feel like when I get home, it's all game over. After doing the show, it's whatever I can get my little paws on.
So from 10:30 a.m. forward, it's game over.
Mine starts about 9 a.m.
Really? Okay.
You might hear me spitting some chips, or or doing that during the show. But no, I eat like one meal a day is about it. I might grab a sandwich here or there. That would count as a meal. But, we have the one meal that we eat, and it doesn't necessarily need to be a fancy big lasagna meal. It might just be something we slap together. But otherwise, I'm snacking and grazing. I'm trying to get some healthy snacks in the process, but
I will eat healthy snacks. I truly love just a stalk of celery with a little salt on it. I'll eat that. Like, it's as good as chips.
Are you a horse?
Yeah, well, maybe. I've been called worse.
Yeah.
I love just like, I'll eat a handful of cherry tomatoes and think I'm in heaven. I mean, I eat things. I'm happy to eat, vegetables, fruit all day long.
Yeah.
And my problem is, if it's 9 o'clock at night and I'm halfway through a great movie, that's when I'm like, I got to get those mixed nuts. I got to go get those chips. The salt thing hits me late, and then it's never just. It's always salt on something processed and calorie rich and laden, and it's 9 p.m. If I can get past the first, real yen for that, then I'm okay. But it's real hard to get past it. I can go all day without eating a bad thing, and then it's like right as I'm ready to go to bed, that's when I want to destroy all my hard work.
The worst time, by the way, to be snacking and unhealthy snacks or eating at all. You're not supposed to eat right before you go to bed. Yeah, I'm guilty of that a lot too. Of course, I start snacking early and often, and so a lot of times by the time I go to bed, I wonder how many times I've gone to bed with just a bellyache. I'm the classic. I'm uncomfortable. I'm going to bed,
Oh, yeah. No, I will absolutely. If I overindulge, and then my response is to just go to sleep, which works great for about 3 hours. And then I wake up, and then I'm in hell till the sun comes up. Oh, my
God. If I have something I really love binging on, those extra cheesy Cheez-Its or the aforementioned chocolate-covered almonds, I'm doing the sleepwalk right out to the fridge in the dark, dodging things along the way. And there's a handful. And then my favorite is getting back in bed and realizing, you know what? I was just like 3 almonds short and getting right back out of bed, going back. Just do it now, man. Don't sit here and think about it for a half hour. You've got to get some sleep. Go right back, grab another handful, eat them on the way back to bed. And
About 10 years ago, Rosemary came home from Costco, and she had picked up a tub of a certain brand of pimento cheese with jalapenos in it.
Oh, yeah.
And I've never been a pimento cheese guy. I mean, it's fine. I don't care. And I put a cracker in there and ate one, and I went, oh, my God. Had a few more. And then throughout the rest of the afternoon, I kept thinking about it, literally, like, oh, man, I got to get. And I was like, no, wait, you've already had like 6 crackers smeared with pimento cheese. That's plenty. I'm not kidding. I got out of bed trying to go to sleep and couldn't, and I got out of bed because I couldn't stop thinking about this damn pimento cheese. And I went downstairs. It was like midnight, and I ate a few crackers with pimento cheese, got back in bed. She goes, what are you doing? I was like, nothing. She goes, did you just go get that pimento cheese? And I said, don't ever bring that into this house again.
This is your fault.
I was like, I can't stop eating this. And by the next day, I had eaten the entire, it's a big tub, and it took me less than 24 hours to eat the whole thing. And I'm serious. It was like, I just said, there's crack in this. There's something in this. I can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah, it's so... Yeah, we eat until we're disgusted with ourselves. I've done that so many times where I'm just like, what is wrong with you, man?
Yeah.
Why would you do that to yourself?
This is what I hate. I'll have a day where I have something late in the afternoon, like 4 o'clock. Like you said, just grab a sandwich at 4 because I'm starving for whatever reason. And then 8, 9 o'clock, I'm going to bed. I don't need anything else. I haven't eaten in 5 hours. This is great. And then I get the best night of sleep I'll have in weeks. And so the next day I'll be like, well, I could probably eat a little later. It's like, Steve, no, learn from your body. The longer you go without eating before sleep, the better you sleep. And yet here I am at the precipice every night going, I could just get just a piece of toast with some butter. Wouldn't hurt anything.
Toast.
Why don't we learn our lessons? Because then, you wake up, you're fresh, you're light, you're ready to go. That's the time to have the little snack in the morning to fuel up the bod and get going. These are simple things. We know these things, we're confronted with them all the time. But
there are plenty of things about myself I don't like, and I can't help it. Too bad. It's what I am. Just take me at my worst, or don't take me at all, or whatever the hell that is.
You know what bugs people that I'm with? They're talking about just unacceptable behaviors. I snack in public. I have a bad habit. I will walk through a hardware store, Home Depot, with a bag of chips.
Yeah, you know
I'll
what?
Bring it in with me, and you can't bring. They'll think you got it in the store. I'm like, I did not get it in the store. I'll walk in eating it, but I like to snack as I walk around, and. Oh, yeah, I get that. And you get weird looks, too, if you're snacking in a store. Did you pick that? I don't do it in a grocery store. That would be a little overt. But, I've got all sorts of behavior.
I have no problem opening something at the store and eating it while I shop.
Yeah.
And then I obviously pay for the empty bag.
Right.
Because I'm just waiting for someone to come up and go, sir, you can't do that. And I'm going to be like, hey, man, back off. This is important.
Look, I've got a debit card.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to pay for it. That's ballsy. That's almost inviting, conflict, I think, in public. It's unacceptable, Steve, but while we're on the topic, I like unacceptable behavior as a topic this morning, especially socially unacceptable behavior. Let's explore that, but we got to push along here. We'll get back to it at 6:17. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Freddie Mercury wrote Crazy Little Thing Called Love sitting in a bathtub in Germany. The idea popped into his mind. He jumped out, grabbed a guitar, and threw it all together. We were talking earlier about snacking. Ever snack in the tub? Ever bring
I've
food
snacked on
to
the toilet. not in the tub though. I can't remember the last time I took a bath. I had a broken leg,
so
I was probably focused. I had to, right? You had to hang one leg over the tub. It was a very sexy look.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I wasn't doing any snacking in there, and I don't do that in the shower. I've had a beer before in the shower. It's happened. It was a low point. Probably.
Well,
I don't know.
It's not a low point if you're, if it's your first of the day, you're getting ready to go out, you're having a beer before you leave, and you're like, I got to take a quick shower, and you're just trying to crunch time. I get that.
Yeah, just trying to prime the pump, as it were. But that aforementioned, that word I've used twice today now.
Nice.
A handful of chocolate-covered almonds, which I'm, addicted to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll take a handful right into the bathroom with me. Sit down, and I've got a phone in one hand and a handful of snacks in the other.
I guess I try to get mine in my mouth first. I'll go in the shower with some chocolate in my mouth and just suck on it while I'm scrubbing my hair.
Now you're just trying to be erotic.
I was thinking about the bath. I've been. I can't picture specifically, but I know I feel like a memory of sitting in a bathtub and having like a chocolate dipped strawberry, and then I go, wait, I saw that on a soap opera once or something. I don't have chocolate dipped strawberries in my house. I never do. I wouldn't have them at a hotel. But I swear, the first thing I thought when I was thinking about Freddie Mercury writing the song in the bathtub and snacking, I was like, for some reason, a chocolate dipped strawberry comes to mind. Right. And then, but literally, I probably saw that on The Young and the Restless in the mid '80s. Like
Wasn't it a Calgon commercial or something back in the day?
Even better.
It's Freddie Mercury. I'm not picturing Chex Mix, No. I'm not Doritos or Cheetos or something like that. It's, probably chocolate-covered strawberries with a flute of champagne sitting right there.
Cherry in the flute, of course, yeah.
Of course.
One cherry in the champagne. My buddy Clint Steele used to smoke cigarettes in the shower. I always thought that was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
I've seen that before. Yeah, I had a roommate. He was the same one. We'd go on hunting trips, and you'd wake up in the middle of the night with that pungent cigarette smoke. Of course, back then we all smoked a bit, but we'd step outside and smoke, Mm-hmm. But no, you'd wake up in the middle of the night and you'd just see that cherry, ebbing in the. It would get really bright. It would go away, and then you'd hear. Yeah, he would get up like 4 or 5 times in the middle of the night to plow through a cigarette. So I saw him one time. His arm just comes. I'm walking in there, brushing the teeth, getting ready to go, and I see his arm just come out of the shower, pick up a cigarette in the ashtray, sitting on top of the little radiator there.
Oh, great.
Take a big drag. I'm like, dude, seriously, my gosh, it's called a nicotine patch.
Whatever it takes to get through that shower. There are things about all of ourselves that we look at and go, you know what? You used to try to fix it, and then you're like, I don't care. People don't like this, but you know what? I've said this before on the show. I'll say it again. I am not at all afraid to just dig for gold. I'll pick my nose with the best of them.
I will. I don't do that in public. I'm a little self-conscious, but at work, that's not public. Candace catches me all the time.
I'm doing
it's got to come out of my nose.
Both of you guys are nose pickers.
Yeah. Well, it's we've got to clear out the nasal passages. We've got some talking to do here. We've got big sinus cavities, Candace, and there's a lot of gold up in them dar hills. But in public, I do get a little self-conscious. I try to. I think I was shamed a lot when I was a kid. Brian, quit picking your nose. My friends giving me crap, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm aware of it in public, and I definitely prohibit myself most of the time. But on occasion, I can immediately I can hear my wife just going, babe. That's all she's, babe. And I'm like, my finger's right up my nose at this grocery store. I'm just, wow.
Oh, you know what I get a lot of times? Not picking the nose in public, but I will get chastised, and I have over the years. I adjust my balls anytime, anywhere, and I will go down the pants. It doesn't have to be but I'll just be sitting there talking to somebody at work and just reach down, and it's got to be, for me, I like it right there at about 7 o'clock. That's my spot. And if it's not there, or if the berries get tucked under, no, they've got to come out.
I'm dead serious when I say this. Yesterday, standing right in front of those rotisserie chickens at Lund's, went right in the pants for the ball.
Dude, I see it all the time.
Yeah.
Candace, you don't understand.
I guess I don't, but
these things are just, they're free swinging. You've got to move them around a little bit. We're not wearing skinny jeans. These things are, there's movement down, and then you stand up and it's, it might be at 1 o'clock. Nope, that can't happen. Or, you've got the lefty is down under. No, it's got to come out.
Every man has a personal central nervous system algorithm that will inform you if you take 2 more steps, you're going to nut yourself.
Yeah.
You don't know it until you know it. And then it's like, wait, stop. I have to make an adjustment, or I'll be in the fetal position on the floor in pain in less than 10 seconds. It's mostly just you're avoiding disaster. You're not. There's nothing pleasurable about it. You're just trying to avoid pain.
It's
Candace,
not silly.
Please try not to judge.
Sorry,
okay?
whatever.
You have to corral the hog. You can't. I know women probably think it, especially, and I've done it at inopportune times because I don't. It's almost a little bit not with self-conscious. It's a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for, the term I'm looking for. But anyway, I don't know I'm doing it most of the time. But there are inopportune times where I will be like talking with a woman and just, that I'm very comfortable with, a friend or a coworker, and just adjust the nuts. And I see the look in the eye like, no, I'm not drawing attention to my crotch. This isn't a dick pic kind of scenario where I'm being inappropriate. I'm just, if you had a wiener, you would know that sometimes it's got to, the pendulum's got to swing, but so that gets awkward every once in a while.
I will admit to this one too, and this is no longer the case. But well after I knew better, there were many times I didn't wash my hands after using the bathroom.
Oh, God.
Okay, now in public, I've gotten into this debate with people. When I go into a public restroom, if it's filthy, and they often are, men's rooms, Candace, are just nasty.
Yeah.
No one wants to clean them. And I will go in there. Why the hell would I be touching things?
Right.
I'm not touching. You know what I'm touching? I'm touching my wiener. And I washed it. And I didn't pee on my hands because I have some self-control.
Right.
So I'm just going to walk out of here without touching all this other germy stuff. I'll push on the door or give it a nudge. Sometimes if I have to, I'll just hook it with my pinky if it's a pull open kind of thing. But I don't always wash my hands.
Yeah, to that point, when it's a filthy bathroom, you just want to get out of there. You just feel like every breath you're taking another risk. But I just mean like regular, just good old, you just run in, you're like, well, and in my mind, it was almost like the 3-second rule with food. I'd be like, well, I got in there real fast. I got in and out fast.
Quick
That's
squirt.
Probably fine. And at some point along the way, probably around the time we started having kids, and then you're just dealing with diapers constantly. I got into the habit of like, I'm washing my hands all the time anyway. Right. But I'm saying up into my 30s, if I was at a bar at night and I just went like, hey, I was like, I don't have time to wash my hands. I got to get back to drinking. This is that 13 seconds and the no paper towel thing means I'm going to wipe my hands on my jeans. It's just going to get them filthy all over again. Screw it. And I look back now and I think, no wonder I got a cold every 3 months.
Right. Exactly.
No wonder I was constantly battling colds.
I know. Like you'd get like 5 or 6 a year. Didn't even think anything of it. Roll right through them now.
Literally 5 or 6 a year. No exaggeration.
Socially unacceptable behaviors we're off and running, and we haven't really taking the deep dive into the weirdness that is Candace. So we've got a lot out in front of us. In fact, don't you be shy on us this morning. 651-989-ROCK. That's the talk and text line. We'll put something up on Facebook, but socially unacceptable behavior. Just had another one pop into my head, but we've got to get along. Mike Evans, Hollywood Report, sports and music history coming. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Let's head west. It's time for the Mike Evans Hollywood Report.
Hey, good morning, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Steve, and Zep, and Candace. Also, Steve, understand that you went and saw Tony. Tony, we're wishing you the best. Get back quick. We miss you. Hey, this report brought to you by our good friends at Marcus Theaters. Tomorrow, some movie reviews, and we got some good ones. Marcus Theaters, and don't forget, every Tuesday, Marcus Theater, very happy and proud. $6 gets you into any Marcus Theater to see any movie. Today's report a little different. Bear with me, and Steve, I bet you have some thoughts on some of these things. First, while there is always a lot of hoopla regarding Coachella, the prices have been going up. Security going down. Artists not nearly as big. A lot more restrictions and on and on. Well, that would explain why Coachella was not sold out this year. In fact, it lost money. However, Stagecoach, that follows Coachella, same venue, it's sold out. This year at Stagecoach, it starts today. Some of the artists include Luke Combs and Jelly Roll and Willie Nelson and a lot of others. And despite it being a country music event, that new cowgirl, Beyonce, will also be there performing. Yahoo for old Stagecoach. It's always a fun event. Movie nugget. Tom Cruise news. He has green-lighted Top Gun 3. It's a go. And his Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2 will hit screens on May 25th, 2025. By the way, Tom Cruise did not contact his daughter Suri last week on her 18th birthday. My opinion, jerk, party of one. All right, Steve, see what you think about this. Sports nuggets. So Reggie Bush is finally getting his Heisman Trophy back. He was awarded the Heisman in 2005, as you know, stripped of it in 2010, when it was proven that his family did receive some restricted benefits for him playing football at USC. That was wrong. However, Reggie, in my opinion, deserved the trophy for what he did on the field. The dude I was upset with was the USC coach, Pete Carroll. Is it true he knew what was happening? And when the NCAA laid down the huge penalties against USC, Pete Carroll escaped just one step ahead of the posse, took the big paying gig with the NFL Seattle Seahawks, while the school suffered for the next 3 years. Yeah, just my opinion. While we're talking about that kind of thing, I'm still upset that Pete Rose isn't in the Baseball Hall of Fame. I mean, we all know that he gambled, but what he did on the field, I think, deserves him to be in the Baseball Hall of Fame. And by the way, got to know Pete pretty good when I was with the Dodgers. Great guy. Check out my website, evansradio.com, where I posted a photograph of Pete and I back in the good old days. Take a look at my hair. You can tell it was old days. And I also bring this up because of a sidebar. On Monday, Pete Rose was signing autographs and was talking to people and wondered out loud. He was wondering, gee, I wonder if L.A. Dodger Ohtani was really unaware that his buddy's gambling with his money. It sounds like Pete Rose, all right. Hey, have a great day. Movie reviews tomorrow. Mike Evans, see ya.
There you have it.
A lot going on there.
There is a lot going on
Oh,
there.
by the way, I did see a couple of Ohio lawmakers, I believe, have co-sponsoring a resolution that will ask the Major League Baseball commissioner, is it Manfred now, I think?
Yep.
To lift the ban on Pete Rose. So that's coming back around. I don't know. I feel like baseball's really dug their heels in on that one. Maybe because he was such an a-hole, is kind of
Well, it took him. He handled it so poor. If he had simply copped to it, that by now,
right?
I remember Bart Giamatti's big announcement. He's banned for life, like it was yesterday. It was 35 years ago. But right now, Pete Rose is still with us, and if he had just shown some contrition and just copped to it all, well sooner than 35 years after that proclamation, they would have slid him in there.
Yeah,
I mean,
and he's still taking shots now, taking a shot at Ohtani, and baseless, of course, but just out there bitter still. And you're right, if he had just softened and taken the high road, but
especially after so many of his former teammates and guys he was in baseball with for decades, they all came out so loudly in support. Oh wait, no, they didn't. Okay. Hey, let's look back as long as we're talking sports. On this day in 1962, a guy named Harry Cheedy, hardly a Pete Rose, he had a pretty forgettable 10-year career in the bigs as a catcher. The Cleveland Indians traded Cheedy to the New York Mets. On this day in 1962, the trade was Harry Cheedy to the Mets for a player to be named later. He played 15 games for the Mets, and the Mets decided the player who would be named later would be Harry Cheedy. That's right. 15 games with the Mets. They sent him right back to Cleveland. He was traded for himself.
No.
Come on. That's good stuff. On this day in 1995, at the age of 77, Howard Cosell died.
Oh.
This was a man simultaneously voted more than once as the most popular and the most disliked sportscaster in America. He was loved and loathed. My favorite Cosell quote was, "Arrogant, pompous, obnoxious, vain, cruel, verbose, and a show-off. I have been called all of these, and of course, I am."
Well, own it, man.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Thursday, April the 25th. Good morning. The KQ Talk and Text line, 651-989-ROCK. You are welcome to phone in if you want to get a part of this conversation. We're talking about things that are socially acceptable about ourselves. Well, they're acceptable to us, maybe not to others. Sometimes when you screw up, the easiest thing to do is just simply say you're sorry. You don't have to give excuses. Just apologize. Case in point, my favorite apology in a really long time. Kyle Ford is a college football player. He started his career at USC, the University of Southern California. He transferred to UCLA, crosstown rival.
Ooh.
And then just announced last week he's transferring back to USC. And his comment to the Trojan faithful was, "My fault, I was tripping." That's it. Apology accepted.
All right, yeah. Just come back and play the hell out of the game. What'd you say? As a football player?
Yeah, I was young.
Yeah.
I got excited. I got in the moment.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I was tripping.
Yeah, probably a woman behind it. Some gal at UCLA lured him away, but
she's like, "No, this campus is so much nicer. You're not downtown Westwood versus downtown. Come on, what's wrong with you?" He figured it out.
Sure, yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I mean, UCLA football, it's UCLA football. USC, man, come on. That's a program.
I know. They meet the Bruins, though. There's your storyline. There's your locker room fodder. The Bruins all going to be all fired up.
Mike Evans on the Hollywood Report mentioned today Reggie Bush got his Heisman Trophy back 14 years after having to give it up. Because now what Reggie Bush lost his Heisman over is perfectly legal, acceptable, and in fact encouraged for football players in college. He received improper benefits in 2003, 4, and 5, whereas now those benefits are proper and 7 and 8 figures sometimes for college athletes. So, yeah, I think that's a good move. It was always ridiculous they took it away from him in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, if he'd done something his senior year to compromise the game or games or, his performance on the field, that's something different. Then you take the Heisman away. You didn't earn it. But this happened during the recruitment process involving his family, and it damn sure involved Pete Carroll. Don't think otherwise. That's a lot of these guys when they run off to the NFL, and I'm not suggesting that's the case, with like Harbaugh or anything like that. But look at Harbaugh at Michigan. It's kind of stumbled down. There were some issues with some improper things, sign stealing and that sort of thing. There was a suspension, and then now I'm off to the NFL. Pete Carroll got the hell out of USC USC so damn fast that he just basically, they said, if you run off to the NFL, we probably won't investigate this deeply.
Right.
And I think there was some USC retribution from the NCAA on that as well. But yeah, give the guy his Heisman. He earned the hell out of it. And like you said, now that behavior is widely acceptable.
I also think that
it's policy.
Yeah, it's also the idea that it's such an old boys club, NCAA, and the rules, infractions, and recruiting violations, and all these things, and they look the other way unless you just get a little too loud. You know what I mean? It's always one of those. I remember Jerry Tarkanian, the old basketball coach at UNLV, the Runnin' Rebels. He was always a bit of a rebellious character. And there was a story about Kentucky got caught up in some recruiting violations in the 80s. And Tarkanian's quote was, "The NCAA is so pissed off at Kentucky that Cleveland State's going to get put on probation." Because, there's certain programs that are untouchable. Yeah, the NCAA has always been it's not corrupt like on a FIFA level or the IOC, but the NCAA is a complete joke to me, always was.
Yeah, I agree. And they'll look the other way. And listen, these programs that dominate and create dynasties in college football, it happens. I mean, and the pressure to remain there and stay there, that's why they finally just collapsed on the whole thing and said, all right, just go ahead and pay them. It's so rampant and out of control. Who do we, the holding the puppy up and the gun to the dog's head saying, if you don't do it, I'm going to shoot the puppy. That worked, briefly for a minute. And at times we've moved on from it. But although it's changed the game, the portal has changed the game. Players bouncing around here and there, but the game's gonna change anyway. It evolves.
What was once unacceptable now completely the norm.
Yeah,
because things change. Some things never change, and there are things that are unacceptable year in, year out, generation to generation. On the KQ Facebook page, we have the post, what do you do in public that would be deemed socially unacceptable? There's a few gaseous responses. Some people fart. The best, of course, Kathy wrote just simply crop dust.
Yeah.
Just letting it go.
Everyone's been there. You've done it, and you got away with it. You walked away from it. We've all done it. Especially on the crowded sidewalk. Mm-hmm. Everybody's in motion. Somebody's going to catch a whiff of that back there, but I'm going to be well down the sidewalk. Who knows? Although James threw on here, take a leak on the sidewalk. I'll tell you what, I wouldn't take a leak on a sidewalk, and not that it hasn't, maybe on a brick wall downtown very late at night after way too many beers.
Yeah, get in the side alley, get in between buildings, but the actual sidewalk, that's a tough one.
Parking lots, though, I have a bad habit. Here's what happens when you have the 4-door pickup. They're all now, right? 4 doors. Mm-hmm. You've got you open up both of those doors, and you've created a little stall for yourself.
Oh,
especially when I'm thinking of ski parking lots, or perhaps you're at U.S. Bank. One of these vast parking lots, it's kind of a pain in the ass to get in and get to the bathroom, and I've got to go right now. If there's no one around, no kids walking around, no women walking around, I open up both of those doors and tuck right in there and have myself a very satisfying public pee.
Nothing better sometimes.
I sometimes do, too.
Really?
Right?
If I gotta, I gotta.
If you gotta, you gotta.
Yeah, you gotta. Right. Although I did have a friend over in St. Paul. She went between the 2 cars parked along the street there in a rather busy area. It was near a bar. People were outside wandering around. And while she's down there in the squat position, woo! The lights go off. We're about a block away. I know. She got ticketed for peeing in public. And just a sweet gal, too. Not a troublemaker like myself. But, so she's embarrassed there. And they're writing out the ticket. And we're standing over there mocking her a bit. But, she got it between the 2. So they will nab you every once in a while if they catch you.
I told my buddy Clint, who used to smoke in the shower, another great Clint moment was we all were at a club, a bar, that had not a club like a nightclub, but a bar with bands playing in the corner. Yeah. I walked outside, go around the side to the back parking lot, and I see he is involved in a somewhat heated conversation with a police officer. This is in Atlanta back in the 80s. And as I stepped up, Clint's standing by the dumpster, and the cop is arresting him for he was peeing in public or public intoxication, or he was given on it, he went back there to take a leak, and he said, this is public intoxication. And Clint, as I walked up, Clint was going, you're the only other person here. This is as private as it gets. He goes, I was in a bar.
Good point.
He goes, I was drunk in a crowded room, and the line to the bathroom was so long. But out here, behind a dumpster where no one will ever know that I peed, this is not public. If you weren't here, I would be all alone.
Yeah.
And I just kept walking because I was laughing so hard. And I was like, wait, I'm going to get caught up in this thing too. And he didn't. The guy let him off. I mean, the guy, they talked, and then the guy said, don't do it again. But I was like laughing. I was like, man, for being as drunk as you are, that was pretty good thinking.
Yeah, right. It's almost like it may have happened before.
It was like a Spicoli moment. If I'm here and you're here, doesn't that make it our time? It was one of those. Like, kind of hard to argue the logic on that one.
No, you're absolutely right.
It's fantastic. And he's, and he's not a big guy. He's just kind of, little stoner hippie kid. And he's like, but man, if you weren't here, I'd be alone. That was the best thing ever.
See, sometimes not getting angry and all huffy and puffy and sticking your chest out, just explaining it. And if you can make an officer or someone in charge just chuckle, I mean, I got to believe like 75% of the time they're just going to wave you on. Christine on the KQ Facebook page, we're talking about socially unacceptable behavior. We're not just talking about it. We're confessing it this morning. Christine, eating puffed caramel corn during movies. My family won't let me watch movies with them now. We've talked about this, being in the movie theater or in the living room. The person that brings in the really loud, I'm the chip eater, crunch, crunch, crunch. In the movie theater, I do try to wait. I mostly go to action movies. That's why I like to go to them. Otherwise, I'm going to stream it at home. If it's kind of a little more sedate or a thinking movie, rom-com or something like that. Otherwise, I'm going to the movie theater to watch the big. Then I'll wait until it gets loud, and then I'll go into my box a bunch of crunch. But yeah, eating loud.
Speaking of loud, I've been doing this for years, and I'm better at it than ever. Which is, I will full on pretend I didn't hear someone call my name in any situation, public. I occasionally even at home, but I'm talking about if I'm just walking down the aisle of the store, if I'm walking across the street, hey Steve, I just keep I'm really, I don't flinch, I don't almost look, my thing is, it's kind of like when you hear someone honk a horn, you have two people either assume, who's honking at me, or that's got nothing to do with me. And I think that we're all one or the other. And so when I hear someone say Steve, I just assume there's another Steve within shouting distance, and I just keep walking. And I mean, if they press, then I'll look up. And I am cursed with a great memory for faces. My names, just bewilder me. But faces, I mean, if I've met you once, I'm probably going to know that fact just from looking at you. But I have to be really good about not letting on that either. I'll just look at people very vacantly, blankly, because I'm trying to figure out who they are. And I'm like, wait, red flag or green flag? I don't remember, but I know this face, and and then within a few seconds, I'll be like, oh yeah, just blow hard, or oh yeah, great guy. I can play dumb with the best of them, and I do that. I ignore the sound of my own name on a regular basis.
I think this sort of parallels that, but I'm definitely a person that will not call you back. And I got a feeling there's a few people listening this morning going, oh, really? You won't call me back? Mm-hmm. I'm shocked. It's not personal. I always say it's not personal. They said, and everyone always says, it is kind of personal because I called and asked a question or asked you to call me, and then you didn't call. And so that's kind of personal. I'm like, yeah, but I do it with everyone. So I don't know. But I don't know what it is. I just, it creates, can I go with anxiety? It makes me like, I don't want to, what are we going to talk about? I've got something much better, which is nothing to do right now.
That just reminded me last night. I mentioned Rosemary and I were having a Beatles party, eating some pasta, drinking wine. Mm-hmm. Hey, they got great songs. Let's keep listening to them and drink all the wine. It was one of those. And at some point during the night, our daughter Marley texted the two of us to circle back to, she had texted me 2 days ago while we were on air, and just a couple screenshots of some upcoming concerts near where she lives in Virginia. Said, hey, these are both sold out, and I'm able to get tickets. I know promoters, I know people in the industry, so my kids at least have one luxury, which is I can almost always get a ticket to a show. Not necessarily comps, but even if it's sold out, I know all the promoters. So she said, hey, these shows, I didn't know I was going to be in town for this, and, any chance. And sometimes the answer is no, but usually it's yes. I saw that text. during a commercial break a couple days ago, and I did not respond to her. I mean, I saw it, and it's these gigs are like
no response, even no text,
no
like.
The gigs are like in July. I mean, that's like a year from now in my brain. And so I saw it and I was like, okay, I'll get back to that eventually. And I also know that she'll remind me. Well, she texted. We were texting with her last night on me, Rosemary, and Marley, the 3-way text conversation about something unrelated. And then she goes, oh yeah, by the way, just a reminder about these gigs. And Rosemary goes, I didn't hear about these. I said, oh, she texted me yesterday. And Rosemary literally goes, you didn't respond? And I went, I said, no, I was on the air.
Yeah.
I'll get her onto it. She goes,
Is it because you hate her?
She goes, that's exactly where this went. She goes, your daughter texted you. You have to at least write okay. And I go, no, I don't have to at all. And we have this, and then we go into this. By the way, we're together over 30 years, and we start this conversation that it was about to get heated. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to bed. Screw this.
Yeah. Where's All You Need Is Love by the Beatles?
It started going down the path of, if you want me to stop everything I do because one of my children texted me. What are they? The royal family? They're just people, and I don't think it's a necessary. She goes, but you're their dad, and I'm like, I know, and they know that. They know I'm busy. They know I have a lot of things going on, and they know that I come through. So I don't feel the need to drop everything. And she's like, that's not the point I'm trying to make. And then it just got stupider and stupider on both of our counts. And we're drawing up the battle lines. And then in the middle of it, I just said, I'm taking the dog out. He's going to pee, and then I'm going to bed. And then that's exactly what I did. And then she came up a few minutes later, and I wasn't asleep yet. She goes, I texted with Marley. You're right. She's not sweating this at all. I go, I know. Of course she's not.
Yeah.
And Rosemary's like, I think I need to go to sleep too. I'm like, yes, you do.
Yeah. Let's all sleep makes it better. Sleep is good.
Sleep's your buddy. Sleep's your friend.
I know. It's not like she was in a burning apartment building. Dad, should I shut off the gas? Should I
said that.
crawl out the window? I
said, babe, if the text is, Dad, it's an emergency. I said, I turned my microphone off mid-segment and call her back. That's not what this was. This was a concert in 9 weeks. I'm not sweating it. Yeah.
Well, while you go jump on StubHub and try and track down some concert tickets for your daughter, we're going to move along here and keep this up on the board. KQ Facebook post. What do you do in public that would be deemed socially unacceptable? Don't be shy. We haven't been, that's for sure. 651-989-ROCK. If you'd rather call it in, we'd love to hear from you. I think we got to get a little local here. This showed up on the Drew Barrymore show. It's just sweet. Yeah, this is Brian Zepp selling a sweet story about a Minnesota woman who married her Grubhub driver. It can happen to you, and they'll tell you in their own words. Also, I've got to talk a little bit about the Vikings with the draft. This could be a transformational draft. I've got to get it off my system. It's all coming. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Thursday, April the 25th. Good morning. Chesterfield on Facebook says he farts in elevators right before he exits, and that is as fine a way to start a segment as any I can imagine. I got more than a feeling he's pissed off a few people along the way.
Right, exactly. Because the person just leaving as it reeks, Yeah, and if you're going to see him again, if it's an office building, and he works there, I'm going to see that son of a... I'm calling him out.
There wasn't a lot of... The Gorman family shtick wasn't to fart in elevators, but it was always to open up a can of worms with a very personal conversation in an elevator, just to make everyone else squirming and really uncomfortable. My brother Jim started this thing, and we all took our own variations on it. But he oftentimes, and by the way, Jim is 6'6", tall fella, hard to miss in an elevator. Be on an elevator with Jim, me, maybe another family member, but 3 or 4 strangers. And here again is a guy who's 6 feet 6 inches tall, and he would start to break down and go, and he'd put his face in his hands, and he would say, "You can't tell me that you know what it's like to testify against your own mother." And boy, you would watch the clench on other people, oh my God, what? And he would immediately just start talking in like half sentences and garbled little cliff notes about how he was basically the key witness for the prosecution against his own mom in a murder trial, or whatever the case would be. But all I know is people would leave that elevator and be like, "Man, this really tall guy just got out of court," and he was devastated. And it was just always
Yeah.
Always better. Because what's one thing to fart and then someone tells a story. A guy farted on the elevator today. But but the story those people would tell is, this guy was in court all day testifying against his mom and he broke down in the elevator. That's always good stuff. 651-989-ROCK is the KQ Talking text line. Candace, who is on the horn?
All right. We got Peach from Le Sueur.
Peach, good morning.
Good morning.
What's happening, brother?
Yeah, not much. Out run my dogs out in the gravel road, but I just heard you guys talking, going, who doesn't? Zep, you got to know this. Do you know what a farmer's blow is?
Oh, yeah, the farmer's blow? Absolutely. I don't think I do it much in public anymore, but I grew up with that one. It was either they blow the snot rocket and you close one and then you just cannon out a snot rocket, or we had farmers that would just blow it in their hands and wipe it on their jeans.
That's nasty.
Yeah.
What do you?
Yeah, my better half just chews my ass over. I live on a 14-acre farm. Going, you all mowing in the wind. It doesn't matter which way the wind blows. You go on the tree. Going, I get done. She's like, that's so disgusting. Would you knock it off? I'm like, I think a handkerchief is even grosser in the back pocket for 4 days of boogers.
Yeah, who wants to carry the snot around with you? I never liked that either. My dad was the guy that had the handkerchief. He had a bunch of them. Mom would wash them or whatever, and I'd be like, you just shoved a bunch of snot back in your pocket.
Yeah.
Right. Wash it. And then when you were talking about the elevator, I got a friend, my better half, that hates me doing that. She also bartends part-time, and there's a friend of mine that will dump a big ass, and he's got a major reactor for farts. But he'll dump one at one end of the bar and walk the other end of the bar, and she's physically told him, I will kick you out if you ever do that again.
Well, he's not staining a seat. Imagine if he had done that sitting in the seat. There'd be he's just letting it dissipate gradually throughout the establishment. Yeah.
That way everybody know who it is. He walks down, and everybody's looking at everybody else going, who the hell did that? Going,
sure. Oh, yeah.
But I just thought I'd give you guys a call. I love you guys in the morning.
It's great to hear from you, Peach, always. Thank you, brother. We've all been that guy. I certainly have been that guy on the plane. There was a time when you could get on a plane and in the overhead bins, it's not that long. Well, actually, it probably is longer ago than I want to admit. But, think back to the older days, like in the 90s, any flight you got on, you're going back to your seat, you open up that overhead bin, there was always blankets up there.
Yeah.
Every seat had a blanket for it for
like
years and
pillow.
years and years. Yeah. And the little pillow. And that blanket was a very, very important part of my flying trip, my flights, because as a fan for many years now of draft beer, and then you get up to altitude and, hey, one thing leads to another. I would just
cabin pressure.
Yeah, you just put that blanket
beer.
over. You just put that blanket on your lap. You cover yourself up and just pray to God that's going to do the trick. And more often than not, it certainly did. But there were times when I then stand up to pee, and you just stand up and you move the blanket, and you're just like, oh my God, what have I just unleashed on this poor cabin? just 6,000 miles of me and last night's draft beer party.
I hope they wash those things before they fold them up and put them back in the overhead.
No, not a chance. But they don't do it anymore. I think that's probably what they realized is
it's none of our business if you've joined the Mile High Club at 35,000 feet, but you've performed the Dutch oven at 35,000 feet. That's
no. And by the way, I have no problems telling you the Mile High Club never been close to it. Never even occurred to me because I've yet to find the airplane lavatory that makes me want to do anything other than get the hell out of there as soon as possible.
I would have a hard time just jerking one in there. To be honest with you, there's so little room. I'd be elbowing the sink all the time. They're like, "What is he doing in there?" Clearly, he's going for it here at Mile High, let alone getting a woman in there with me. But, hey, there was a time in my life where I wouldn't have turned it down. It never came up, I guess. I didn't fly a lot.
No.
Well, Never. I would think you would relate to this one. I know I certainly do, and I'm sure Candace does. Tracy posts on the KQ Facebook post, socially unacceptable behavior, dress like a teenager. I'm 57 years old. Well, we're in radio. I've been wearing rock T-shirts around, and every once in a while it'll be like, can you put something that doesn't say Foo Fighters or AC/DC on it, or the old torn up flannels. Sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I have to actually, where did I put that where'd I put those 2 shirts that aren't wrinkled and not flannel with a torn pocket, So, yeah, we've been getting away with it because we don't have to dress up for work.
Well, I appreciate the fact no one's mentioned. Steve, are you wearing the same clothes you wore yesterday? The answer is yes, I am. Nobody's picked up on that, or at least no one said anything about it yet. That's just a standard act of... and by the way,
whatever.
I did get up a little... I was 25 minutes late getting up, set the alarm, and then I woke up at some point in the middle of the night and then went to check my alarm and thought... Well, you know what? I'll just do that because my phone has like 67 different alarms already preset in there that I've used. And so I thought I'll just sleep in a little extra long. And I clearly hit the wrong button, not the one I intended to.
Oops.
So the 4 o'clock was the 4:45. And I did fall right back to sleep hard. And when I got up, I was like, hold on, wait a minute. And then, got some things I got to do. Next thing you know, I'm wearing the same clothes. Next thing you know, Judd's a millionaire. These things happen. Hey, Candace, you like fried pickles?
Yes.
In fact, my first trip to the Minnesota State Fair last summer, I still remember the only word that comes to mind is glee. The glee in your eye when we finally got there and you were able to bring me a tub of fried pickles. I've seen very few moments in my life where someone had such childlike joy.
Well, the pickle people brought them to us because they heard us raving about them.
That's right.
Because they're my favorite State Fair item.
But you brought that to me. They brought them to us, but then you made a point to say, here,
Correct.
Try this. And I was like, man, I don't care what I actually think of this product. I'm going to tell that girl I love it because I wasn't about to take the wind out of your sails.
I just love them pickles.
Do you ever, have you ever ordered some fried pickles from Grubhub? Ever ordered it from any delivery service?
I order DoorDash a lot. Like
Okay.
I'm a seasoned ordering person, but I can't say that I've done the pickles.
Well, a couple years ago, a girl up in Blaine was home from work one day, and she decided, I need some fried pickles. And then she thought, and I'm going to add some chicken wings and some applesauce. Now, that's a good sick day meal right there. Chicken wings, fried pickles, and applesauce. That'll make her feel better. She said she had a migraine. She didn't want to make lunch, and she found out that she had a coupon, loves a coupon. She went with Grubhub, and the food arrives. She actually goes to the lobby of her apartment building, and the guy who brought the food, he didn't just leave it for her. She was waiting for it, so they did see each other briefly. Thanks. And she's all grubby in her pajamas and sick clothes. And she thought to herself, man, this guy's kind of cute. And so here's something, and I want to get your thoughts on whether this is socially acceptable. He had called her to confirm the order. She had his number. And so she got back to her apartment, and she kept thinking about what a nice guy he was. What a nice looking face. And he had those beautiful eyes. Next thing you know, she's like, screw it. She's sick. She's home alone. She texts the guy.
What?
She texted the driver.
That's crossing a line.
Oh.
She did. She said, she texted him saying thanks and added, I hope you have a day as nice as your face.
Oh, when can you get away with that? When you're a cutie.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. Dude got the message and was a little surprised, and he thought, wow, I think maybe this chick's kind of hitting on me.
You think?
Next thing you know, they have a little bit more of a text exchange. Long story short, they were on the Drew Barrymore show the other day because they're getting married.
Oh, my gosh.
Ring the wedding bells. This is true life romance. This is happening right in front of us, right here in Minnesota, out of Blaine, I believe.
Blaine,
Hannah Bullerman or Buellerman? Yep. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it. 651-989-ROCK, Hannah or Alec Hoffman. We'd love to hear from you. Here's a clip from the Drew Barrymore show.
I happened to have like a ping on my phone from Grubhub that I had a coupon. I was like, I love good coupon. Yes. I saw that it was like fast approaching. I was like, perfect. They're going to drop it off in the lobby. I look grubby. And then this number calls me. I was like, oh no, it's the Grubhub guy. He wants me to go down there and get my food. So I went down, I'm walking down the stairs and I see him and I was like, oh no. He's cute. He's so cute. And I was not cute. I had this number on me. So I was like, maybe I should text this number. I'm like, what's the worst thing that can happen? If if he already has a girlfriend or he's like not interested, I'm never going to see him again.
The restraining order.
Right. There is that.
I mean, that is a line. I think most of us, before we heard of this scenario, would say, yeah, you probably shouldn't do that. But like she said, she has nothing to lose, and all he had to do was not respond. And look out, they're taking that long walk down the aisle. That's pretty cool.
Wow.
It's good. It's good. I like it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to shoot your shot.
That's right. You know, you miss every shot you don't take.
Yep.
As the great one says.
Yeah, they're a pretty dang cute couple. Well, there it is. Now, of course, we've unleashed all sorts of Stage 5 clingers onto Grubhub, DoorDash, Uber Eats drivers all over the metro. They're going to be texting them furiously.
It used to be, before there were, delivery apps and all that stuff, the thing for me, I remember thinking was, is it cool to hit on a bartender? It's girls behind the bar. She's making drinks. She's just taking care of.
Turns out it's not.
And it turns out, guess what? It's not. That's right. It is absolutely. They are. And, that smile and that flirt, it's their job. And it took me a little while to figure that one out because when I started regularly going to bars, and then, by the time you're 25, you've been in a million bars and you should know better. But then you're like, no, honestly, this one feels different. And then, and at some point, my buddy Randy looked at me and goes, you've said that to me like 3 times in the last 3 months. You realize that, right? This one feels real. I'm like, oh, you're right. I need to really get over this thing. She's doing her job. I'm going to tip her better, and that's the point. And she does not want me to ask for her number.
One step further would be the exotic dancer. You say stripper, I say exotic dancer. I have respect, all right? But it would blow my mind the number of buddies I would go down there with, and they'd be like, she really likes me. I'm like, dude, you just gave her $1. You just actually gave her about $10. Yeah. One after another, after another, after another. You see what she's doing here? She's a working professional, and you're a paying client, and that's how that transaction goes. What do you think she's going to do? Blow you off?
Yeah.
But in the wrong way. But I remember I dated a bartender for quite a while, and I would go into this place regularly. And I remember one time I walked in there a little early in the afternoon. Remember that my happy hour starts before yours. Don't judge. Mm-hmm. And she comes walking over to me. She goes, I mean, how nice do I have to be to you to have you ask me out? I'm like, what? Boy. I said, I thought you're a bartender. You're very attractive, and you're being nice to me, and I understand that's transactional, I didn't, so every once in a while, but if I had guessed like you, 9 times out of 10, or let's make that 99 out of 100, I would have just embarrassed myself.
There was a bar that we used to, when I say we, the band, my former band, the Black Crowes, when we were a local band in Atlanta in the late 80s, there was a bar called Atkins Park. We'd go in there. That was our hang. That's where we went. It was open till 4. That's all you need to know. And the bartenders and the girls that would wait the tables, they were all we were all in our early 20s, and these were all women in their later 20s. So, and at that age, like a 5-year difference is pretty significant. 28 to 23 in life experience for at that time was huge.
Yeah.
And they were all cool, all smart, all funny. And they treated us great, but they always did it with kind of you're cute little guys. Like you could tell they were kind of like patting us on the head the way they would treat us. But they would have a laugh. We'd do shots with, hey, let me buy, And it was this whole thing of these older women thought we were cute younger guys, but that's all we were. Yeah. And there was one, and the one of them, Gail, I was totally like, man, that's my girl. One of these days, I know this is going to work. I had this thing in my head for a while, and it never did. And then one night, I actually started to kind of go there, and she totally, very sweetly was like, no, it's good how it is. Like, we have fun, and we laugh, and do not say what you want to say. She let me know that, and I was like, okay, that was actually pretty cool. And you want to know when she became more attractive and more painful for me than ever? After our first record came out, we had been out on tour for the better part of a year. We got a gold record. We're on MTV constantly. And then back in Atlanta, back in our old haunts, it's kind of like everybody's like, dude, way to go. It was like a big moment. I go into Atkins Park, and she comes over. She's like, you're having quite a year. I'm like, as a matter of fact, I am, Gail.
Guess who noticed?
And guess who noticed? And then I start, and then she literally looks at me. She goes, you're still little Stevie to me. Oh. And just walked away. And I was like, I've never in my life been more attracted to a woman than in that moment. She had still no time for me. Nothing changed, buddy. I don't care. You're going to be yesterday's news, and I'll still be here, and you're still going to be missing out. I was like, damn.
You're burning in flames and still the hopeless romantic. That's adorable.
Shout out to Gail for just being the coolest chick ever.
That is pretty cool. Well, we've been into socially unacceptable behavior this morning. I'm going to cross streams. You don't do this in radio. I'm going to get yelled at by a professional program director probably right after the show. But I got to talk about the Vikes. Can we talk about, the draft starts tonight. Yeah, and the Vikes have 2 first-round picks. They have a lot of needs. Yeah. And they also have the best wide receiver, maybe the best football player in the NFL today that they've got to get a quarterback for, which would require trading up and spending a lot of picks. We've been here before, right? We've blown a lot of picks to bring in a football player that didn't deliver the goods. Yep. Do we do that again, or do we restock, keep Jefferson around, just retool his contract and hope for the best? We do have Sam Darnold. All right, here I go. See what's happening here? Help me, help you, help me, help you. Figure this out. 651-989-ROCK. That's the talk and text line. Do the Vikings trade up and nab one of these quarterbacks, which is always a gamble, a spin of the wheel, or do they just start loading up with draft picks and get as many good players as they can? 651-989-ROCK. Please don't leave me hanging. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Thursday, April the 25th. It's the last Thursday in April, which means, it's draft night, baby. The NFL draft going off in Detroit tonight. I just looked at my Facebook memories. 5 years ago, the draft was in Nashville, Tennessee. Oh. And let me tell you, my son and I were not the only people who went downtown to check it out. There was like 400,000 people downtown Nashville watching the draft, which is really one of those moments when you're in the middle of that going, we're the dumbest people on the planet, aren't we? There's hundreds of thousands of people getting drunk on a street, and it's raining, and it's just to watch a bunch of people get their name called.
You're right. And then you go inside. I watch these things, not every year, and some years more closely than others. Very curious and very locked in on this year for the Minnesota Vikings, because the team will pivot for the next, who knows? It could be as long as a decade, or maybe just the next few years as it falls apart and a new regime comes in. We'll find out probably, not till after the season, but by the end of this draft, we'll know how the Vikings did and what quarterback they ended up getting. But you watch these things, and I never feel good about being a football fan watching these draft parties. They are just, it's like the biggest dorks in the world letting their freak flags fly, and I'm always a little embarrassed. I'm like, no, I'm a serious fan. I played football. I understand the game. I'm not some goofy clown like you guys, but I kind of am when it comes down to the draft this time of the year.
Yeah, well, sure. You can't help it. And there's a couple things I always look forward to. And first and foremost is always that one player predicted to go in the top 10 who doesn't. And as the draft continues, they just keep going back to him at a table, and he's just getting sadder and sadder and sadder. And people are like, and every year, someone's like, man, that's rude. That's cruel. I'm like, no, it's compelling drama, because what you're watching every year is the guy who is not going to sleep until he shoves it down everyone's face. In the league the next year. Nothing motivates a 23-year-old football player quite like falling in the draft 30 places.
The greatest football player of all time. I'm going to call him the GOAT. We can argue about it over a beer sometime if we run into each other, and that is Tom Brady. Fell to the 6th round, playing at Michigan, and it was that whole Drew Henson thing was going on, and it had I followed him his senior year. I was watching a lot of Big Ten football, and he would just come in after being benched and should have been the starter after a fantastic junior season and a big Rose Bowl win, I believe. I could be wrong on that. He gets benched for Drew Henson, who they've got to start starter. He's going to run off to the Yankees. Where's Drew Henson now? Tom Brady and just would come in and just win the game for Michigan then. Yeah. They'd be like, they'd lose the lead or whatever, get behind. Tom Brady would come in and win. And has a horrible combine. Physically, he's just nothing impressive about him. So he falls to the 6th round, and you talk about motivating a man. I forget who the head coach was for the 49ers at the time. He said, we didn't have a test that ripped open his chest cavity and looked at his heart because all that guy did was his entire career was like, you can't, you suck. He started like the 4th quarterback on the team or something like that. And anyway, 6 or 7 Super Bowl rings later, 7, 6 with the... But anyway, those kind of players. But they come and go like that. I always look at now we're back into the quarterback thing. Every year there's a class of quarterbacks, and we're looking at 4, but really probably 6 quarterbacks in this class that could be franchise quarterbacks. They could be just really good, reasonable starters for a long time, managers of the game, most likely based on statistics and trends and how these things go. Of those 6 quarterbacks, 1 will make it, and 5 will be failures, by NFL fan standards, and 3 of them will be out of the league within 3 years.
Well, 5 of them will be Sam Darnold's.
Which the Vikings have. He went 3 overall to the Giants. The 3rd overall pick. And, can't miss, right? And now he's sitting on the Vikings bench, and all Vikings fans are talking about, can we trade up and get a quarterback, one of these elite quarterbacks? Well, I mean... good luck.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to get the 2 guys that I think everybody feels pretty safe in saying are can't miss are Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels.
Right.
The Vikings aren't getting either one, but that doesn't mean that Drake May, J.J. McCarthy. I'm a Michigan fan, but J.J. McCarthy really scares me. He's got all of the tangibles, but none of the intangibles is how I look at him. Like, there's not a thing about him. But then again, to your point, I mean, another Michigan quarterback, no one said those things about Tom Brady. But that's, I don't buy in coincidences quite that hard.
No, right, yeah.
I do have to reference, before I forget, you said, we couldn't open up the guy and take a look at his heart. That reminds me of, there was a basketball player, and I want to say his name was Yinka Dyer, who was, I think, he was from Africa, and he came over and had barely played basketball, but he was a giant, well over 7 feet tall, and his story was pretty incredible. He was discovered in Africa, just, a kid who had no logical chance he'd ever end up playing in the NBA in the 90s. And there was a time when he was playing for, I think it was Don Nelson, the legendary NBA coach. And somebody said, I mean, what did you see in this kid? How did you know he had the kind of heart required to turn himself into a proper basketball player? And Don Nelson looked at the journalist and goes, he killed a lion with a spear. Anybody else in the league done that? It was like, okay,
we got a true warrior here.
Basketball's not too scary. Basketball's not all that scary.
No, it's not.
It's going to be exciting, though, because, the Vikings probably will trade. I do think they're going to trade up. I do think they're going to get a pick, 5, 7, somewhere like that. It may be as high as number 4 with the Chargers. Or no, it's 5 with the Chargers to go get a quarterback, depending on who it is. The good thing, whatever the quarterback is, whoever they draft has got a couple of things going for him. First is a great offensive coach, a head coach who knows how to set up an offense around a player's skills. And then, as you mentioned, not just the best receiver in the league, but one of the best receiving cores in the league.
Yeah.
So, great quarterbacks often, as is usually the case, go to horrible teams. That's how the draft works.
Right.
And it's rare. You got your Peyton Manning. You got the occasional guy who
had a lousy first season. Yeah. I mean, he was slow coming out of the gate, but about as sure a thing as you're going to get.
But literally puts the team on their back, and within 3 years they're a contender. But that's hard to do, man. It's a rare thing for a quarterback to be able to turn a crappy NFL team around. I mean, a great basketball player can do a lot really fast. One player, a quarterback in the NFL, occasionally you see it, but it's rare. And by the time the Vikings get a pick, I don't think they're going to have one of those guys, but they don't need one of those guys because they do have a solid coaching staff. They got a really good defense. They got great receivers. I mean, for a quarterback, there are few places you could look at and say there's a better landing spot than the Vikings. That's just the truth of it.
You want to get a little more depth on the interior offensive line.
Yep.
You got to get some more guys there. You don't necessarily need to use those picks in the first round to get those offensive linemen. We're not talking about tackles. I think the Vikings are pretty. But you use more depth there. Maybe a little more depth in the running game because any new quarterback is going to need that running game to make it all work. And whoever they're going to get in that 4th, 5th, or 6th pick, or maybe at 11, if they don't trade up, is probably not going to start, right out of the gate. Yep. Sam Darnold's going to get the call. He's going to, have his opportunity, and whoever is going to have to sit on the bench. Only Caleb Williams is probably going to start out of the gate. Mm-hmm. I mean, even Drake May is probably, going to sit on the bench for a little bit. They say he needs about a year in the NFL to develop his skills a bit more. So there's only one Caleb Williams in this draft. We know where he's going, and the Bears very smartly have kind of built a team around him. I mean, it doesn't look on paper like it's the usual dumpster fire start to the season for the Chicago Bears. On paper, we'll see if they can bring all that together. But for the Vikes, yeah, I mean, my buddies are blowing up my phone right now. Sorry if I... Thanks for calling in, 651-989-ROCK, you losers. Instead, you got to text me.
We do have a caller, though. So,
we do have a caller.
Yeah,
all right.
Who we got?
Don the Juan from Winstead.
Don, good morning.
Morning, guys. Say, I'm not gay, but I sure love you guys.
Oh, that's gay, not gay. We love everybody.
Yeah, we'll take it wherever we can get it.
And, Steve, I totally agree with you about our receiving core. My own personal pick, they got to trade up and get Mike Penix from Washington. Yeah. He's a lefty, but he throws the best ball I've seen in college.
Amazing. Didn't have a great national championship against Michigan. You don't want to write a guy off for one game, but right. Yeah, when you watch him, when you go back and watch those Washington games or the films they put out him now, Penix is a gun. Just a gun, and he puts it in tight spots. Huge numbers last year, carried Washington right to the national championship. I don't hate Penix if they can get him.
And he's bigger than he looks. He's 6'3". I mean,
great.
In that championship game, I mean, Michigan's just got so many hosses over there. It's easy to forget. Like, he's definitely big enough. I mean, 6'3" is a great height for a quarterback. I saw
Penix.
Very
accurate, too.
Yeah.
Right.
No, he's absolute. The knock on him is, of course, the injuries he has had already.
Yeah.
So he's missed so much time. I saw him play twice in person because he started out his college career as an Indiana Hoosier. My son goes to Indiana University, and I went to a couple games, freshman and sophomore year for my kid, and Penix was exhilarating to watch in person, and I'm like, who is this guy? Like, he was just running roughshod. I saw him play against Michigan at Indiana, and then I saw him play against Ohio State. Those are the two games, and they lost both games, but he was incredible. They lost him because it's Indiana, but he was, a 40-point game was actually a 7 or 10-point game because of him. And and then both seasons, shortly after I saw him play, he's out for the year with a knee injury. To see him come back at Washington and do what he did was incredible. And I agree. That's one of those things. If the kid stays healthy, he's going to be fine. And with this team, if they got him, I'd say definitely let's hope for the best, because if the best happens, he'll be awesome. He'll light the place up.
Yeah, but still an F in there. You're right. I forgot about the injury stuff, and he does have that knock against him. And in the NFL, that's not going to get any easier. It usually goes quite the other way. Bo Nix out of Oregon, a lot of people talking about that he might be, if they can trade up, maybe a Bo Nix. I like Bo Nix a lot. I don't know how he, how quickly he can rise to the occasion as an NFL quarterback. But I think he has a future in the NFL. I think he's going to be one of those guys we're talking about a few seasons from now going, oh, yeah, that Bo Nix, he's really coming on. He's going to be playing good ball. Adolfo Mensa, the GM for the Vikes, and O'Connell, this is a big draft for them because they have to get that quarterback. They have to get Justin Jefferson signed. They probably don't get him signed if they don't get a quarterback that he can look into the future with. So this team pivots with this GM GM and this head coach on this draft in particular, I think.
Right.
So that's what I'm excited to see happen tonight or probably tomorrow is what do they do? What blockbuster trade do they make to get up to and where do they get up to? And then the surprises. Because you think, oh, Drake May didn't go second? They went for who? Drake May probably wouldn't go second. They're talking about out of LSU. Jaden Daniels probably go. Or does Drake May go? Or does somebody take the Texas defensive lineman, Byron Murphy, that everyone's been talking about? So there'll be surprises, but what can the Vikings get? Because everybody, you got the Giants trying to trade up into the 3 or 4 spot. And, I don't know. Drama.
It'll be great. It'll be great to check back. Tomorrow morning we'll be like, holy crap, can you believe that happened? Speaking of, because there are, as you said, there's always in the top 10 picks, there's always at least 2 total out of the blue surprises. You can tell there's GM's phones are on fire at the last second going, okay, do it. It's always very exciting. Talk about surprises though. Let's switch gears quickly. Yeah. A rural home outside of London, rural England, a family who've not been identified publicly. A guy goes up to his attic a few months ago, and he's like, "Oh, there's that guitar case that's been there forever. I haven't looked at that. What is this?" Opens it up. There's an acoustic guitar in my dude's attic, and he's like, a buddy of mine gave me this back in the 60s. His buddy was named Gordon Waller. There was a duo in England in the 60s named Peter and Gordon. Peter and Gordon had a few hits, and most memorably, A World Without Love, which was a John Lennon-Paul McCartney composition. Oh, yeah. Peter and Gordon, so Peter Asher of Peter and Gordon's sister was engaged to Paul McCartney. So these Peter and Gordon were very much tight with the Beatles camp. So Gordon of the Peter and Gordon was given this guitar, and then he didn't want it, so he gave it to another friend. I'm telling you the story of the friend who found this guitar in his attic after not looking at it for literally 50 years. And he goes, yeah, Gordon gave me this guitar. Where did he get it? A little bit of research. Oh, it's the John Lennon acoustic 12-string that he played You've Got to Hide Your Love Away in the movie Help on. They used to show Help and Hard Day's Night on TV all the time. They haven't for years now, but they used to in the 70s. And I saw that guitar. I just got goosebumps. I was like, oh, my God, that's that guitar. I can't believe it. Yeah, nice. 50 years just sitting there.
Mint.
And
practically
by the way,
mint condition,
mint. Oh, yeah. Everybody involved said it plays amazingly well. It's just completely preserved. Nothing's wrong with it at all. And I thought, how many things like that? How many houses have burned down where someone didn't realize what was in the attic? Like if that house had suffered from a flood or a fire, or if somebody had bought it and just said, get rid of that old piece of crap guitar, I mean, nobody would have ever known whatever happened to it. And for 50 years, people have been saying, where's that guitar? Well, finally, we now know. And again, if you got $6 to $7 million, it could be yours.
Yeah, somebody listening. I bet it ends up going for a lot more than that. Just the backstory on it.
I bet.
And the fact that they're calling it's going to be $6 million because remember Cobain's guitar, they were expecting $1.5 million, I think. Yeah. They thought that was going to bring it to auction. These guitars are going way over their initial value. Yep. So I think this one's going to be double digits in the millions. Oh, this is a stupid story. Road rage involving spaghetti. Try to get that together in your head. Think about that. Ponder it for a little bit. Road rage involving spaghetti. It actually happened right here on planet Earth. We'll tell you all about it here about 8:25. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Thursday, April the 25th. I just answered a question I've been wondering about. For
what is today?
No, not what is today, but can I get the dog outside to the parking lot to take care of his business and get him back all during the second half of Alice Cooper School's Out?
Oh, that's a short song too.
Ooh, boy.
I was gonna add another song for you, but I wanted to challenge you. I didn't want to just assume
go, Steve,
you were gonna fail.
Yeah, was Chauncey cooperating, or was he taking his time?
No, well, he's still got that cast on his leg,
so
we're not moving too fast.
Right.
And it was the thing where, like, the song started, and he gave me the look, which is, dude, we better do this right now. And I was like, oh, my God, I know that look. And I said to Candace, I go, wait, how long is this song? She goes, like 3.5. And I was like, okay, Excuse me. It was a little stressful getting back in. All right, we're all
catch
okay.
your breath. Yeah, we're good.
The dust is settled. So Zepp, you mentioned something about road rage and spaghetti, and I just hope this involves a chef. That's my thought. Like, please tell me somebody did not like the food they were served and decided to take it out on the guy driving.
Wouldn't that just be a nice twist for this story? No, a woman in Indianapolis ends up calling 911. This happens 5 p.m., so that's peak road rage right there. You know, the afternoon commute. The morning commute, you're expecting it. You're still a little dizzy and sleepy, but by the afternoon, you're good and pissed off. So last week, she'd been the victim of road rage. She was concerned because she had her 3 kids in the car and happens to be pregnant. I think I might have mentioned that. She was turning right. Another driver turned left in front of her. She did shout at the driver. She's a pregnant woman with 3 kids in the car, and you cut her off. And that's when he brake checked her and flashed a gun and then tailed her. So we got some real psycho road rage going on here. But the twist is the other driver, also a female, by the way, threw a full container of spaghetti at her, catches up with her, doesn't use the gun, thinks better of it, and grabs a full container of precious spaghetti, whips it at her car. The woman sideswiped her and then ended up pointing the gun at her after she throws the spaghetti at her. Okay. I don't know. You've got a gun. You're throwing. Then she probably threw the spaghetti, smashes all over the woman's car, then gets pissed off all over again, and then goes back for the gun and tried to claim the other woman was the aggressor. But why are you throwing spaghetti? Why are you pulling a gun on someone that you cut off in traffic? Road rage, I don't understand that one. I get pissed off behind the wheel. I can cuss with the best of them, but I just don't understand this whole tracking people down, running them down, following them. We've all been victims of it.
I cuss out drivers all the time.
All the time.
To myself in the car with the windows up. That's the point. You put that, you get that look on your face, which is to say, I can't believe how stupid you are. So if they look in the mirror, they'll see you making that face. And then it's over. I've done the thing where I look at someone, I put my hands up like, what are you doing? And then a minute later, that person, the traffic changes on the highway, and that person goes by, and I look over, and I'm like, oh, yeah, there's that guy. He's fine now. I mean, it's a momentary thing. Yeah. The answer to this is always, the answer is never when the cops, they did find the spaghetti-tossing, gun-toting femme fatale here. The answer, the question is, what's wrong with you? It's never, they cut me off. The cutting you off was simply they lifted the lid on your crock pot. Yeah. You were already simmering. You're already having a bad day. You're already having a bad life. The road rage that turns actually beyond just being angry in your own car, that is one I will never understand.
Because you're happy, you're well adjusted. That doesn't mean that life comes easily for you. It just means you're in a good spot in your life, because there's no one out there that feels pretty good about where they're at in their life and like, yeah, I'm doing okay. Sure, I have my troubles. I have my issues that I have to deal with, but life is good. No one feels that way and whips a bowl of spaghetti at another car in traffic ever for any reason. Yeah. No matter what they did. Maybe they brandished a gun. Maybe they flipped you off. Maybe they, yelled through the window something really bad about your mom. Anyone that's well adjusted and in a pretty good spot in their life is going to put that into perspective. Maybe give them the finger, that kind of thing. Maybe a speed past them, but you don't react with a gun and whip spaghetti at them. Especially not spaghetti.
I discovered recently on Instagram an account called Dash Cam Crashes, something like that. Yeah. And it's just one car crash after the other captured on dash cams. And it's a great antidote to road rage. If you watch a handful of these videos, you think you know what happens when 2 cars sideswipe each other at 50 miles an hour. No, you don't. Almost always, they both end up rolling. You don't keep a car. We all watch movies and we all see the guy avoid the crash and go up on 2 wheels, but then land it back on all 4. No, that's not how it works on the highways. I go down this rabbit hole about once a week, and it is mind-boggling. And I kid you not, it has changed my approach to driving on the highway. I'm like when I think I'm not too close, I'm like, you know what? Back you up even more. Like, give that car in front of you even more space. I think that should be required viewing. Candace, we have a caller on the KQ Talking text line, 651-989-ROCK. Who we got?
Connie from Faribault.
Connie, good morning.
Good morning. I love listening to you guys.
Thank you.
I just wanted to tell you that if I ever cut somebody off or they cut me off or they do something stupid, I always turn to them and I smile really big and I wave really, really fast. And then the rest of the day, they're all confused like, did I know that?
Yeah. That's brilliant because
great.
that works. I think I've even been that jerk that got, and then they just wave back at you and you go, oh, I'm a jerk. Okay.
Yep, exactly.
I love it.
Because I want you to be mad at them, but, I don't allow it. So,
I don't allow it. That's taking control in a very Minnesota kind of way there, Connie.
There we go. Exactly.
That's good. The first week I was in town, Connie, I told the story in the air last year. I'd been in town for like 3 days, and I was downtown, and I'm the first guy at the red light, and so of course I look at my phone, and then it turns green, and I'm looking down like an idiot, and the car behind me, I hear the bam, bam, go, and I look in my mirror, and it might have been you because there was a woman in that car, and she was waving and smiling so sweetly, and I was like, oh my God, that's a Southern version of bless your heart. I was like, wow, the smile and the wave telling me, but what she was saying was, get it moving, you horse's ass. But,
as your head was coming up, you're going, fun, and then you see that and go, fine, I guess I'll go.
It's pretty great.
It really disarms you.
It does.
Yep, that's right. It does.
All right. Thanks, Connie. That's great advice.
You bet.
All right. That is great advice. I love it. You know what phrase has never been uttered after a road rage incident, whether it's your fault or not, but if you participate in it, what's never been uttered ever? Worth it. That was worth it. Yeah. So I'm glad I pulled over and got into a fist fight. I, in Uptown, in my 20s, pissed off on an August day, no air conditioning in my old beater, windows are rolled down, I'm sweating, like a pig and probably having a bad day, and way behind on bills and that sort of thing, and someone cuts me off and then stops in front of me to make a point about my driving, I guess, and I got out and got into a fist fight with him. Knocked him out.
What? Wow.
Yep. Happened right there in Uptown, right on Lyndale Avenue and 26th. And and that was the end of my road rage right there. Because even though I suppose I had the apex position in that little road rage incident, I looked around me just to see, horrified, a mother with her children walking down the sidewalk looking at me like a mom. And then you just feel, never in my life did I think, worth it. Yeah. Ha ha. Showed you, man. Don't mess with me. You just feel like the biggest douchebag on the planet. That's going to be the after effect. Think about that as it starts to unfold, or you can just drive away with it. I like Connie's high road. Just give him a smile and wave and laugh. It'll probably piss him off more than if you pulled over and knocked him out.
Oh, my mom is just the queen of those looks and just gives you the benevolent smile as in, and on there's one way to interpret it, which is, I've had bad days too. I'm with you. But what she's really saying is, you're embarrassing yourself and I'm just going to look like a saint for anyone else who's watching.
Yeah, right.
Oh, that's good stuff. That'll crush you. But the spaghetti though, that's the thing. Like, come on, why waste a perfect, what's better than spaghetti? What are you wasting spaghetti for?
Yeah, that lady that got home, and there's a gun involved, which makes it much more serious, and there are going to be some serious charges levied against this aggressor on the road, but they didn't get home and go, yeah, worth it. Got rid of that spaghetti that I was saving, that I was taking from somewhere. Somebody gave me a big, nice thing of spaghetti, and then I whipped it at a car, and now I'm in jail, and now I'm being charged with something very serious. And hungry for spaghetti. Is this not worth it?
Is this a Minnesota thing, or is it just a Southern thing, which is when you're on the highway and you put on your turn signal to indicate you want to get over, the person that could possibly be in your way then accelerates to make sure you can't get over?
That happens in Taiwan. That happens everywhere on the planet. On the moon, when we get two countries up there, someone's going to cut someone off in a moon buggy because they hit the blinker and they wanted to charge in front of them. I find there's something primordial about that. I don't know if it's a survival kind of thing when we started standing upright, but I found myself, I don't anymore, but when I was younger, I would do the old, oh, no, you don't. I'm going to shoot in there. Why am I doing that? Go ahead, get in there, brother. We're all good.
I attributed it to into a NASCAR culture down south, but I guess it is just everywhere.
No. No, God.
Because it is like, at the end of the day, it's like, hey, isn't this sort of our highway?
Yeah.
That's not your space. It's a space that I would like to get into. It's not yours.
Yeah. But it's not practical because you're literally not going to get there maybe 1 second, maybe 1,001. There, that's it. To wherever it is you're going by letting a car or zippering in or something like that. So it's not a practical thing. It's something primordial. It's something, you have to battle to be a human being.
It does remind me, and this is a true story, that the first Kansas City, Missouri, there were 2 cars total in the city in 19 whatever year. The first 2 cars brought to Kansas City, they had a head-on collision. There were only 2 cars in the whole city, and they somehow hit each other. Think about that for a minute. That should have told us all we needed to know about. Let's get back on horses.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Let's go back in time. Candace, we have another caller?
Cruiser from Newport.
Well, I like that.
Cruiser talking about road rage. What's up, Cruiser?
Hey, guys. Well, first thing, my wife is one of those people that likes to wave at people and smile when they do stuff just to piss them off. She thinks it's pretty funny.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so anyways, here's my story. I live in Newport, and before the highway was rebuilt, we used to have stoplights. So not only is there a stoplight with a cross street, there's also a frontage road along there. So getting to go to work in the morning got to be a real challenge to try and get out, and we're all going north. So there's 3 of us at this intersection, all trying to go north from different angles. There's me, there's a woman, and there's a real pushy guy. He's trying to block me from going, and it's one of those, it's like, I'm going to be one of the first. If you give me a chance, I'm going to take off first, right?
Yeah.
So the light turns, I haul ass out of there. I'm going north. Now, this guy comes up behind me. He's screaming and hollering and doing his fist at me and tailgating me, and we have to go up 61 to a stoplight. Well, this guy is like really pissed off, so we get to the stoplight. I stop back about 3 car lengths behind him because I didn't feel like getting punched out. This guy gets out of his truck, comes back to me. I'm going, shit. I roll the window down. This guy starts screaming at me, and I said, can I say something? He goes, yeah. And I, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He was so deflated. He thought he was going to get into a fight, and it's like, well, I was the one that actually kind of screwed up, and I admitted, but go on. He's just like on fire, and I just threw a bucket of water on him, and he went out. And it's kind of and he left and went, good. I didn't feel like getting punched out on the way to work.
No, who would? And I guarantee you, he didn't get back in. He might have had a moment where, like, oh, good. But upon any reflection, he went, maybe I overreacted. The guy was sorry. Mistakes happen. We're out there driving around on these congested streets every day in this massive traffic. Sometimes I screw up all the time myself. I like it. The high road never is the bad road. It's always the better road.
My wife is always yelling at me when we go north to the cabin, trying to drive on a freeway. When you get those putzes in the left lane, they can't do 80.
Yeah.
Can't you just make one trip without saying something? No.
Yeah.
No. Oh, no, I have a real I can put up with like constant lane changes, and people that don't know that it's funny when you get on a long road trip, if you set cruise control, it's amazing how erratic other people's speeds are. You immediately notice like the same car passes you, and then you pass him, and then he passes
awkwardness.
People have no idea that they're accelerating and decelerating by up to 15 miles per hour constantly. But the cruiser in the left lane, when there's only 2 lanes especially, I just that does on a long road trip. The first few times you just get over it. But then, when I'm flicking my brights like, yo, and they just keep going, or worse, they wave like, I see you, but I'm not getting out of this lane.
Yeah.
When I'm in the left lane, I'm doing 10 over.
Yeah, hell yeah,
it's the passing lane. If you're not passing someone
behind me and I'm doing 10 over, it's kind of like, I'll move out of your way if you really have to go faster than me, but go ahead and get the ticket first,
Yeah, if you're going to pass, get over. It's the simplest thing. And listen, we're not even suggesting you don't get pissed off. Go ahead and scream at him if you want. Give him the big finger or whatever. But taking it off to the side of the road, or then following them to where they're going, or throwing spaghetti at them, it just doesn't work. But I get pissed off all the time. But you just can't follow through with it. And but those are special kind of jerks. I just think to myself, you know what? If they're a jerk in the left lane like that, they're a jerk all day long, and sooner or later that catches up with you. It's called karma, and it's going to get you. And I know it's going to get you. Yeah. So you just got to, I can't take care of this right now, but life is going to take care of it for me. That's jackwagon.
That's it.
All right, guys. Well, that's my story.
Thank you, brother.
Cruiser.
All right,
See you
later.
Right on, Cruiser.
Yeah, bye.
That's definitely we're speaking about karma in the cars. It's funny. There's so many. I associate it with, again, and this is just my experience. More often than not, it's just a giant pickup truck that pisses me off, and it's and it's probably no more than others. But no, it's probably no more than regular cars. But those are the ones I remember because when the guy in the Camry pisses you off, it's a Camry. You're like, whatever.
Right.
You just get on with it. The guy in the Corvette, you're like, hey, at least it's a nice car. But there's something about those giant pickup trucks that when they cut you off, you're just like, you assume they're doing it on purpose, and it's like they're just a bad driver like everybody else.
Yeah.
There's something about the larger the vehicle, the more you think that they're trying. They meant to do that.
Right, yeah. If a Camry tailgates you a little bit, it's whatever.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Buzz off.
Isn't that cute?
But if a big truck is tailgating you a little bit, and I know this because I've always driven mostly a half-ton, but I had a 3/4 ton there for several years, not too long ago, and I needed a rental car, something that had to go in to get taken care of. I had a rental car for an entire week, and it was a car. Mm-hmm. First of all, I'm like, look how fast I'm going the same speed. I'm just literally sitting on the road, and how small I felt in traffic, but every pickup that came up on me, I'm like, what's your problem, jerk? You want something? What are you doing back there?
That's what it is.
How big is your dick? You feel like you got to latch onto and it's just a guy in a truck following me at the same distance that everyone else does. But I didn't realize that till I was in one of those little puny, tiny.
It's all about context.
Cars.
All about context. Candace, do we have another caller?
Dr. Bill from Chautauqua, Wisconsin.
Cruiser and Dr. Bill checking in on the same morning.
What's up, Bill?
Hey, I got a good road rage story for you.
Lay it on me.
I was driving home from work up a major road, and there was some road construction, so the 2 lanes went down to 1. And I was one of those guys who zipped ahead of this pickup truck with the lion in the back,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he got a little angry with me, and we had to take a detour. He kept tailgating me, and we got to a stop sign. And he jumps out of his truck. He comes up to the car. I roll down my window, and he punches me right in the jaw.
Oh,
shit.
He grabs onto my door handle. So I look for traffic. I take off from the stop sign, get onto the main road. He lets go of the door handle right in the middle of the road. I take off, go home. I come back about 10 minutes later, and there's an ambulance there and a bunch of cops and a bunch of cars. And apparently he let go and got hit by a car.
Oh, well, there's that karma I've talked about before. You get out of your vehicle in traffic and assault someone, you might get hit by a car.
Yeah, when I see people,
he got what was coming to him.
Yep. When I see people jump out of their car to take care of business like that, they almost always leave their door open, and I always think, boy, you're just asking for someone to run your door right off your car. You know what I mean?
Especially when all those junker trucks I drove for all those years, I wouldn't even think twice about losing a grill by taking your door off.
Yeah, of course. It's like, man, that's taking a step. That's a couple steps too far. But I'm always amazed when somebody jumps out, leaves their door open to come back, and they don't end up with losing a driver's door in that exchange. It's a pretty easy thing to do and again, even if you're in that aforementioned Camry, you can take a door off a car pretty quickly.
Yeah, you can. You know what? Now we're on a topic. Now I'm curious. How do you deal with road rage? Do you have a crazy road rage story? Let's wander into that topic. 651-989-ROCK, the talk and text line. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. The KQ talk and text line 651-989-ROCK is up and running because we said the magic words, road rage. Sometimes that's all it takes. We got a lot of crazy stories out there. Candace, who is on the horn to share one right now?
Polly from Prior Lake.
Polly, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Oh, great, brother. What do you got for us?
Well, years ago, I was going with some people in the office up Robert Street to go get a bite of lunch. And the road is under construction, and everybody's zippering. It's fine. It's slow, but, it is what it is. So next to me is one of those canteen trucks, that refill the machines with the food and everything.
Okay.
Hey.
So I hear his engine roaring more and more as we're taking turns, and I finally said, I think this guy's going to try to cut me off and not let me in when it's our turn. Okay. And sure enough, he pulls up next to me, he looks over, and he's screaming at me. He's yelling and everything, but he's not paying attention to the road. So he hits the car in front of him, rear ends him. So there's your instant gratification.
Karma, yeah.
Of course, the plus side was we were able to zipper right in and get up to have some lunch.
Yeah, you were.
What a dope. Exactly. You know what, Paul? And I love the zipper line because that's the one thing that diffuses my rage. As soon as that's orderly, that's military right there. That takes me back to my old football days. Let's make a line and everybody gets their turn. So I love that one. The people that try to screw that one up are a special kind of unhappy, miserable son of a bitch.
Yep, it's really true.
Oh, yeah, and he's looking over enraged, screaming at me. And I looked, and everybody's in the car looking at him. Yeah. And then, bang. Yeah. He wasn't going fast, maybe 10, but damage.
Still, yeah.
Not a happy person. Not a person that goes home and says, hey, gang, had a great day. How was your day? No, there's someone that's just waiting to die, and they're taking it out on everyone.
Yeah. That's awesome. Paulie, thanks for the call.
Very much.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Paul.
Man, that's a good one. Candace, who else have we got?
Let's do Adam from Glencoe.
Adam.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Good morning, brother. What do you got for us?
Long-time listener, second-time caller.
Great.
I hauled cattle for a living, and I had a 40-foot trailer. This is back 20 years ago. And I had a Dodge pickup I just had all souped up. And I was coming home on 494, and this guy, it's how it is. The guy won't get over. Zeph was talking about it. The guy in the left lane that refuses to move, and he's going 56 miles an hour.
Oh.
So we can't get by him. The guy ahead of me sees what's going on, so he pulls over, lets me by him. We're right by the airport, and he just laughs. These guys grinning at me, just trying to rub it in. He got me. So I turn over. I just turned. I right into his lane. He slams on his brakes, or he's going to run into the guardrail. So we're going, continue on 494. It's solid traffic. He's back there flashing his lights, just steaming. We get out by 212 where I got to exit. And I pull into the middle lane. He flies by me and slams on his brakes.
Oh, man.
So that's fine. I was back far enough, and I just got over another lane and got by him. And then he runs up ahead of me and does it again. This time I was ready for him. There's no one in the left lane. So I turn back in the middle lane. I get halfway by him. His car is just screaming. He's got it so far. He can't get by me. And I start turning off because I get off on 212. So I'm running him off on the shoulder, and the guy can hear the gravel, and his motor's racing. All I hear this bang. He ran right into a light pole. The light pole lands on the top of his car. And so I called the cops. I say, there's a guy tried passing me on the shoulder out here at Eden Prairie, and he ran into a light pole. I said, okay, I don't know. He's got a light pole on his car hood, but other than that, I think he's all right. I never heard another word about it.
Don't mess with Adam, right. The lesson of the day.
Yeah. There was one more time, if you got a second.
Yeah.
94 West, it was construction zone like that. And it's the same thing. You're talking about the zipper. Well, everyone's over, and there's always one guy has got to try to get ahead of everybody else. So I turned over, and, he had to go off to the shoulder. I even got farther in the shoulder. He ran in the ditch, goes around me. And he's laughing. He just because it was nice. He just drove in the ditch, went around me, kept going up ahead. About a quarter mile up, the highway patrol had him pulled over. So I beat my horn and waved at him as I went by.
There you go. Yeah. No, I've had that.
So there's all kinds of crazies out there.
Yeah, no doubt. Adam, thanks for the call. I've had that experience where somebody comes screaming past you, and then they cut right off. Like they're going fast enough to get by you, but they're just cutting in and out, and they almost clip you, and they're just flying. And then 2 minutes later, they're pulled over. Oh, I've loved that.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got here, Candace. Who else is on the horn?
Larry from Afton.
Larry, what's up, brother?
I got a little road rage story for you. It wasn't me driving. I had someone else driving my truck. I was going to be taken off on vacation, so I had a different driver, a friend driving for me, and I was riding with him. And we were on 94, right by Spaghetti Junction, and this guy in his car kept trying to get around us, and we were in bumper-to-bumper traffic. We couldn't get around, and all the other cars are looking at him like, why is he being so crazy? He's honking a horn at us, and we're driving a semi-truck, and he kept trying to get in front of us, and we drive into construction sites, so we got a big hook on the front of the truck, so when we get stuck, we can just get a pole and get moved out, so you're sticking out of the front of the truck. And finally, this guy gets up in front of us and decides he's going to brake check us. Oh, my buddy that was driving didn't hit the brakes. He downshifted and hit the gas. And we banged right into the back end of him. And when his back end was up from when he hit the brakes, and we hit him, our hook went underneath his bumper and hooked onto his bumper, so he was locked together to us.
Awkward.
And we're driving a flat-nosed semi-truck, so we're only 2 inches away from his back window, and you can see he's just freaking out in his car, thinking he's going to die.
Yeah.
And we came to our exit that we had to get off on, and I thought he was going to miss the exit, but right at the last second, he hit the brakes and pulled the bumper off the guy's car. And we came loose, and we turned off on our exit, and we never seen him again.
No.
I'm pretty sure he pulled off at the next exit looking for a new pair of trousers.
Yeah, you got to be a special kind of stupid to brake check a semi. You know who you don't road rage with? Frickin' semis. I mean, people act like idiots around truckers all the time, but you're road raging. That's like taking the knife to the gunfight. You're not going to win that one.
You are not.
Yeah, it probably wasn't a good choice on my buddy's part. That could have real bad, but it turned out good. He got his bumper pulled just about off, and he got to go get a clean pair of trousers when he was done.
That's awesome. Hey, thanks for the call, man. That's good stuff.
All right.
Lesson learned.
Listen, I shouldn't have lost my temper.
Call coming in on the other line. I got to run.
See ya.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, a little Charlie Sheen wisdom.
Lost my temper like I did. Anger is an ugly mistress.
Isn't it, though? I did have a buddy in South Dakota. You know, it's just a bit more lawless out there, less enforcement, fewer folks on the road. Yeah, but when someone would brake check him, he had an old Bronco, or was it a Dodge? I forget, but just kind of an old big clunker, big loud clunker, and he would just, boom, he wouldn't even touch the brake.
Yeah.
Just whammo, rear end him. I'd be like, God dang it, Keith, brother.
Easy.
Let's not do that. It's like, well, I don't give a shit. I'm like, I can tell you don't.
Yeah, no need to mention it. Trust me.
Yeah, they didn't know that you don't.
651-989-ROCK is the KQ Talking text line. Candace, do we have another caller?
Yes, Cassidy from White Bear Lake.
Cassidy, good morning.
Morning.
What do you got, brother?
So, years ago, I was driving in like Roseville, Minneapolis area. There's a Taco Bell on my right, and some guy starts pulling out in front of me going about 2 miles an hour and just keeps on going 2 miles an hour. I couldn't get over, so I gave him a honk, whatever. We get up to the next stoplight. I pull next to him, of course, roll down the window, start yelling at him. I look over, he's got a taco in his mouth, already eating it. And so I'm yelling at him, and he's yelling back, and then he throws his dang taco, hits my window, and bounces and hits me in the face.
Uh-oh. No. Game on.
So I don't know what I did. Just yelled. I maybe tried to hock a loogie, but then it was over after that.
I was hoping you were going to say, I raised his taco with my burrito.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah,
threw a frickin' taco at you. Again, a waste of good food. Spaghetti tacos, what are we doing? You want to throw the Brussels sprouts that you, why are you driving around with Brussels sprouts? But yeah, a perfectly good taco. And I love the fact that, if you're going to go 2 miles an hour down the road, just eat the damn taco in the parking lot and then hit the frickin' lane of traffic.
Too much for certain people. Cassidy, thank you for the call, brother. We appreciate it. Exactly. Have a can of corn for that just in the glove compartment. Don't waste a perfectly good taco. That is
right.
Taco is like manna. The right taco is manna from heaven. Come on.
Yeah, right. You know, maybe those leftovers in the fridge that you're never going to get around to, or that one thing that your significant other made that you're just not digging, take that. Keep that shotgun with you in case you've got to whip some food at someone.
Man,
or just don't.
We had a touring with the band for years. You always every year, every couple of years, you'd end up with a different bus driver, different buses, whatever. And we had a guy in the 90s in one of the old school Silver Eagle buses that were thankfully phased out, because if you were anywhere near the back of that bus and you hit a pothole that was literally like a car might not even notice it, but the back of the bus, you'd fly up in the air. Man, those things were rough. But we had a driver, and every bus has two horns. You've got a horn that sounds like a car horn, for normal in-town stuff. But then you also have the trucker horn, right?
Oh, yeah, the big air horn, yeah.
Well, this guy had one of those, but it was literally a train horn. And he was like, I only use that in special occasions. It was like his thing. He thought it was cool. But every now and again, you're sitting up there front next to the driver, and there'd be a car just tooling in the left lane, not paying attention, and we'd be like, come on, man, hit that train horn. He only did it a couple times. But you could tell it looked like the car that he would honk it at, like the way a human would react, where you go like, ah!
It flinched.
The car would flinch as well. That thing was so damn loud. And you're like, if you're driving on a highway and you think you're about to get hit by a train, there's a panic level with the average driver that like I said, literally, you'd see the car flinch and get over. It was great. And we asked him to do it every day, and he was, was cool about it. He's like, no, man, that's for very special occasions. Never forgot that. Candace, who else have we got on the horn?
Chris from Coon Rapids. No. Mike from Coon Rapids.
Mike, good morning, brother.
Good morning. How y'all doing?
We're awesome, my man. What do you got for us?
Well, this is years ago after I'd gotten out of the Marine Corps. Needless to say, I had a little bit of rage regardless. I was dating my wife at the time, and I was going down the road, and some old lady cut me off, damn near put me in the ditch. So I'm like, no, we're not doing that today. So I sped up and kind of bulldogged the front end of her car to run her into the ditch.
Oh,
but before I could make that happen, the wife, or the girlfriend at the time, she's my wife now, but decided to stick an ink pin in my thigh.
Okay. That's appropriate, I think, in this situation.
Well, you know what? It stopped me from doing the road race, apparently.
Sounds like you picked the right spouse.
Well, it was basically, she stabbed me and she goes, you're not going to do that. I go, okay. I was the end of it, so that's my story.
That's a good Marine following orders from a superior officer. That's it. Thank you for that, Chris. I like the fact, we've had people talking about the crazies. I like when someone calls and goes, oh, by the way, I was the crazy that day.
Yeah.
Thankfully, all it took was a ballpoint pen to the thigh to correct me of my evil ways. So thank you for that call, brother.
Yeah. I mean, these aren't the kind of scenarios we're playing out in our head when we're falling in love with someone, but this is what we require, right? Yeah. Someone to, check us with the stab to the thigh. Yeah, because that could have gotten worse. It might have gotten worse. Like he said, he was young. He was angry at the time. He had a pent-up frustration. Someone cut you, a little old lady cut you off. You don't, run her into the ditch, as the wife gently reminded him.
And as I have told my son, who's 23 now, for 5-6 years on a regular basis, I no longer think I have to say this, but I used to say, you have no idea who anyone is or what anyone's capable of. It sounds counterintuitive, but I said, if you're ever going to be in a fight, make sure it's someone you know.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Fight a friend and then feel bad about it later. Do not ever fight a stranger. You have no idea what someone's capable of. And he had one incident his freshman year in college where he totally did the right thing. He threw a punch at a guy that was doing his best to take advantage of a drunk friend of my, a girl that was a friend of Connell's. Mm-hmm. It's a really touchy story. It's awful. It's ugly. And he did the right thing, and he threw a punch at a much older, much larger person and knocked the guy right on his ass. It was a miracle shot. He even said, I just caught him. It was the perfect blah, blah, blah. But, of course, his response the next day telling me about it was, I kind of feel like I'm a badass now. And I was like, no.
Easy.
No. If you have thrown exactly one punch in a fight, in a bar, and that punch landed and it knocked the guy down and you saved the girl, you have to retire right now from fights.
Right now.
You will never, ever land a perfect punch again. And that guy's now looking for you. You need to stay away from that bar for a few months because you've incentivized someone to beat your ass now. And we had the whole talk, and I was like, no. If you get into a bar fight and win, and it's your first bar fight, never, ever get into another one.
Amen, Dad. Good advice. Hang up the gloves. Go out on top as the champ because, it's everyone's got a whooping coming. If that's the path you want to go down,
that's right.
Yeah, the next time you're not going to connect.
Yeah,
and you're going to find yourself in a world where that's some good fatherly advice. And he'll always have that. He's 1-0, man.
It only takes one missed punch for you to be left incredibly wide open and vulnerable.
Don't I know it? I was the toughest kid in Wolsey High, man. When you're looking to get into a fight, you came to get me until my mom thought an intruder had come into the house because someone was trying to feed themselves mashed potatoes through a mouth they couldn't open, and she didn't recognize it as her own son.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, right. You're always a tough guy until you meet a tough guy.
Yeah. That's the truth. There's tough guys, and then there's, he's a tough guy. Yeah, there's a big difference. Candace, do we have another caller? Sure.
I'm going to talk to Ski.
Ski? Let's do it. Ski,
hey, good morning, boys. How are you?
We're great, brother. What do you got for us?
Hey, it's a road rage thing. It's a little more of a house rage as well. Back in the day, Rainbow Foods, you remember?
Sure.
He used to have a big ad on a Sunday paper, and you could tear it out. You didn't have to purchase anything. It was all free. Big jumbo ad. So they started off giving stuff out, but then they gave away eggs and toilet paper. Could you imagine what happened, right? So I was a supervisor in a 911 center, and we started getting all these calls.
It's like handing out ammunition.
I started calling. I called up the first Rainbow, Roseville, and I said, hey, you guys, probably not a good idea. I told this kid, I said, not a good idea to give it. He says, sir, we give all kinds of items away. I says, pal, when's the last time somebody threw a goddamn head of lettuce or asparagus at your car? and he kind of clammed up, So I called up to Oakdale, and he kind of got smart with me, but I called up to Oakdale, and the manager says, I understand completely. They're egging and toilet paper and cars in the parking lot on the way out. They just gave the stuff for free by leaps and bounds. And we were getting calls and calls and calls on eggies and toilet paper.
Oh, my God.
There was some rage, a different form of rage there, but there was some rage.
Yeah. Back when degenerates used to read the newspaper, too. Who knew that they were going to pick up on that? But, you're just giving out free ammunition. I love the fact that they couldn't even get out of the parking lot. They were so giddy with their free TP and eggs. They just had to start launching it.
Yeah. We'll show Rainbow, right?
That's awesome. Hey,
crazy.
That's
great.
A
couple of things back in those days, when I grew up in Rice Street and the East Side and stuff, and we threw a few things at cars back in the day out of the gardens and so forth and so on, You guys should know better, though, but I think I schooled them a little bit.
Yeah, well,
makes perfect sense. Ski, thanks for the call, brother. Zepp, you just said, you never know who's reading the paper. Let me tell you something. You put the word free anywhere, and everyone reads it. Everyone sees it. That is a magnet for all comers. Free? Yeah. Okay, sure. Whatever it takes.
Let's just start giving out free spray paint and beer while you're at it and see if you can't start a riot. My God, it's, toilet paper and eggs. That sounds like a good thing. Everybody needs toilet paper and eggs. Yeah, wow. Yeah, all right, well, lesson learned, their heart was in the right place.
We still have we got a lot of callers and a lot of great stories, so hang on there. Do us a favor and hold on, because we got to bounce for a few minutes, but we'll be back. Road rage, or as Ski opened up the floor to house rage, whatever you got. Let's just rage on for the rest of the morning, shall we? Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line, 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Thursday, April the 25th. Hey, check this out. 92 KQRS presents Judas Priest next week at the Armory, May 2nd. Holy crap. Listen all weekend. We're hooking you up with tickets. Your first shot to win happens tomorrow after 5 p.m. with Lisa Miller. And I know you'll be listening, because if you're not listening to Lisa Miller, you're doing radio wrong.
Hell yeah.
Isn't that the truth?
That is absolutely the truth.
I'm now Googling Judas Priest to say, that was no, I take that back. Loverboy and Joan Jett was the first show I went to. Of course, that was it. But the one that I think changed my life, when I saw it happen in front of me on a stage, everything was different from that day forward. Probably why we're sitting here having this conversation, and that was Judas Priest. Really? I just went, whoa, you can be that loud, that gnarly, that much leather. you've got another thing coming.
Yeah.
I'll still put it at the top of my list because it was a galvanizing moment in my life. Every time. Rob Halford's out with him, right? I think he is out with him.
Yeah.
That's my thing. I got to have Rob up there. And I know
that's the whole thing.
The scream, that amazing voice, one of the greatest all time, certainly in heavy metal. You've got to have it in whatever form it is. He's got to be center stage.
I fully sign off on everything you just said. Rob Halford says he's top shelf all time. We've been talking about road rage on the show. A lot of callers sharing their experiences. 651-989-ROCK is the KQ Talk and Text line. Candace, who is on the phone as we speak?
Wally from Brooklyn Center.
Wally, good morning.
Good morning, crew.
What's happening, brother?
Got an odd one for you. So, cruising home from work one day up 169, 2-lane highway. As you approach the interstate interchange, you get that third lane for the exit lane. So, traffic in the afternoon is creeping, stop and go. And I can see my exit lane coming, and I see a vehicle racing up the shoulder. I'm like, screw this guy. So I'm getting closer. All right, close enough. I take the exit lane. My tires are right on that stripe, but that exit lane's mine. And in the process, I cut this truck off, and I was thinking, I got you, buddy. And it's flailing arms, and it's a woman behind me. And she's losing her mind, and she is doing the flashing lights, the honking horn, the whole thing. So we get on the interstate, and she comes racing up next to me, arms flailing on the shoulder. And she's lifting up her shirt,
what?
Grudge flashing me.
Wow.
Hello. Wait.
Not full bare breast, bra, but still. And I'm thinking, what is that supposed to, what? And she speeds off into traffic, and she's takes 3 lanes across from the shoulder, and she's zigzagging, and she's gone. And I was wishing somebody was in the truck with me to go, what just happened there?
She doesn't know the rules.
Yeah, that's it. That doesn't work. It's not the same as just the truth.
Oh my gosh.
We started this a conversation this morning with Connie calling in. Well, we had a spaghetti incident. The spaghetti incident sounds like a great name for a rock album, doesn't it? Yeah. Anyway, Connie calls in and confuses people by just waving with a big smile. This is right up there with that. Yeah, ladies, if you flash us, there's nothing more confusing in a road rage incident to be suddenly confronted with boobs, whether it's a bra or not. Yeah, so how'd that work out for you?
I'm still alive to tell the story. So
still telling the story. I love it.
Sounds good. Thank you for the call, brother. That's a pretty good one.
Right on, guys.
There are as we all know, there are very few situations in life that boobs won't just completely grind everything to a halt for a quick second in the man's brain.
Yeah, right. Wait, ladies, you have that power. You have that power. Feel free to exercise it whenever needed.
There's I do want to, but one thing I would be remiss if I didn't mention today. I'm reading about a new a COVID-like viral pandemic. It's in West Africa. What? Just bear with me. It's worse than you think. This is not hitting humans. It's hitting trees, specifically cacao trees. As in cocoa trees, the trees where half of the world's chocolate emanates from.
Ooh, oh boy. All right. So not pandemic serious, but holy chocolate shortage serious.
Yeah, in Ghana and the Ivory Coast, there's something called the cacao swollen shoot virus disease. Mealybugs spread it from tree to tree. And once infected, the plant exhibits symptoms like swelling of the stems and roots, red veins on immature leaves. The cacao pod shrinks. 15 to 20% of these trees are going to be lost this year.
All right, that's serious.
And you think to yourself, well, how many is that? This is tens and hundreds of millions of trees. So here's the deal. There is a vaccine they're trying to use. But again, chocolate costs around the world, prepare to see them skyrocket.
Oh, it's time to start hoarding the chocolate, I think. Wait, what? It's a mealy bug? What eats the mealy bug? Isn't this what we do as humans? We bring in something that eats the mealy bug that's far worse and creates another, but protects the chocolate supply? I don't know.
That's how you're
Smart
supposed
people.
to do it. That's how you're supposed to do it. 651-989-ROCK is the KQ Talking text line. If you want to share any thoughts on road rage or diminishing chocolate supply, feel free. The chocolate industry has already been dealing with supply chain disruptions for a variety of reasons. So this is just another just a shot to the chin for chocolate lovers.
You know, we say we're tongue-in-cheek, we're almost having a little bit of fun with it, but you create a real chocolate shortage on this planet. Like, the majority of people can't get their hands on chocolate. Prices skyrocket.
Yeah.
I think we might all be alarmed at how quickly society would devolve into anarchy.
Oh, I know people who need chocolate. No question about it.
Yeah, me.
Yeah, I work with one and I live with one.
So do I. The chocolate. I dare have some of the chocolate. I can't finish the chocolate bar. And she goes to these fancy places and gets this really exotic chocolate. It's so good most of the time and all the time, right? But I'm allowed to partake a little bit. But there has got to be chocolate in the house, and it's practically a holiday unto itself. After the holiday, after Easter, after Valentine's Day, we've been known to push grocery carts out of stores with half-price candy.
I was, when you go to the grocery store and then there's or any store that has candy, but then you see the dark chocolate bars, like the big rectangles, and they'll have little mandarin in it or a little cherry, and those
I was just thinking about the raspberry ones.
Yes, $7 or $8 per bar because it's perfect dark chocolate. It's the expensive. There was one of those a couple weeks ago when we had the week off. My wife and I are in Florida, and I go into a store and I'm looking because she said get a dark chocolate bar, and I see all the standard. I can see the wrappers. I can't remember the brand names, but we've all seen them a million times. Like I said, $7, $8, $9 for a bar of chocolate, but it's the kind of chocolate you don't eat the whole. I mean, you have a couple little squares and that's it.
Yeah,
one of those.
Don't tell me how to eat my chocolate.
One of those for normal people. One of those chocolate bars at this store was $89. $89, and I looked at it and I was like,
"That's obscene."
And I was like, "What?" And I couldn't. I looked at the clerk. I go, "What is with the $89 chocolate bar?" And the girl literally goes, "You haven't had it, have you?"
No.
And I was like, "Oh, for God's sakes! I don't care what's in it. If it needs to have gold flake it needs to just be gold."
Yeah,
$89.
A gold bar.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Did you? I mean, you didn't try it, obviously.
Oh God, no. I
okay, all right. I didn't know. I mean, it's there's a point where I'd be like checking my balance, going, now I've got to know. Candace, would you ever pay $90 for a chocolate bar?
I mean, yes, because I I would have to know.
I would have to know.
It's
just that simple.
It sounds like they're gouging you, but every once in a while you do run into you do get what you pay for, Sure. I remember someone, it's like, this is a $400 bottle of whiskey. I'm like, it doesn't get any better than Jack Daniels, Jameson. That's good. You can refine it a little bit, but not $400 worth. It's the best damn whiskey. It was a Japanese whiskey. I can't remember the name of it, but it's the best damn whiskey I probably ever tasted in my life. And I did not spend $400 on the bottle. It was one of those tasting deals. But I thought about it.
I similarly was thinking that at a certain level, booze is booze. And then as a very thoughtful gift for hooking a friend up with tickets to a concert, he brought me an 18-year-old bottle of Macallan Scotch.
Okay.
And the 18-year-old, I literally just was like, okay, this is all I'll ever need again. And I thought to myself, I'm just gonna start drinking this exclusively, and I'll just have a tiny little bit. And because I figured, man, this stuff, I mean, God, this is probably like $150 a bottle or $350. And then I was like, I guess that's my one bottle. I'm gonna sip it nice and slow.
Savor it, right? Yeah, just let it. Yeah, just a little sip out of the bottle. You just let it touch your lips, and that's good enough. Yeah, there was a Teeling, an Irish whiskey a buddy brought over to repay a favor, and that was the same kind of deal. Not as expensive, actually fairly affordable, but when you get the good stuff, you know it.
Yeah, big time.
And they know it. That's why they jack the price.
That's exactly right. There will be unrestrained road rage if there is truly a chocolate shortage, so get ready for it. Candace, who is on the phone right now?
Mark from Richfield.
Mark from Richfield. What's up, brother?
Hey, I have more of a question or observation than a road rage incident, but driving down the 35W, and can't figure out why this woman in front of me is going so slow. When I pass her in the passing lane, She's eating a bowl of oatmeal with 2 hands.
Oh, Jesus. I mean,
figure it out.
Yeah.
Of course, I sped by her because I didn't want to get run over.
Yeah, you want to create some distance between a hoople head like that and yourself.
Has anybody else ever run into something weird like that?
Well, yeah. First of all, you know for sure it was oatmeal. You were close enough to see that it was in fact oatmeal.
Well, yeah. I mean, she was going
with
slow,
raisins.
and I'm in speeding, in the speeding lane, in the left-hand lane.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I look over, and she's got both hands on this bowl of oatmeal.
Now, I've seen people with both hands on the phone, perhaps, and they're texting away and going on there. A lot of things, but not eating a meal that should be enjoyed on your couch is fine. Wherever you want to eat it, just not behind the wheel. That's both hands. That's a spoon and a bowl you're holding.
Hey,
wow,
Mark,
that's nuts.
have you ever taken a photo while driving? Mark?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, cool. Just
I
checking.
I thought about it, but no, never did that.
Well, if you were going to do it, the oatmeal would have been the shot to get. The woman driving, eating the oatmeal. That's worth taking. That's worth risking everything for a quick shot.
Oh, I don't know about that.
That's a lot of distracted driving.
That sure
someone
is.
taking a photo, speeding past someone eating a bowl of oatmeal.
Not if you're a professional.
Yeah,
no,
no, it's
Candace, I bet you've taken a picture while you were driving.
Candace?
Every now and again, the opportunity presents itself. It's too hard to resist. We've all been there. All right, Mark, thanks for the call, brother. We appreciate it. That's a little.
All right, have a good day.
What we just enjoyed was a little. We just enjoyed some Richfield to Richfield chatter on the air.
Yeah,
You got a little chippy, I thought.
Yeah.
I know Mark.
Is that true?
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So you know
everybody
the
in
answer to the
Richfield.
question about taking the picture going down the road, yeah.
I'm just saying, people take pictures, or the urge is there.
Last time you took a picture of driving a car, Candace, how long ago?
I have never done that.
Never once?
Not while driving, maybe like at a stop sign.
Really? You've never been...
Sometimes if I see some funny license plate or something, but the vehicle is not moving, but I know it's wrong.
I was on a gravel road all by myself. I mean, just straight as a preacher, goes on forever, which might be a Steve Earle lyric. I'm not sure. But, and so I'm tooling along, and I'm not going very fast. I think I slowed down to about 30 miles an hour, and there was some elk crossing the road. I've just got to.
Sure.
Yeah, and I'm going to record it. I'm not just going to, take a photo. I'm going to record this happening while I'm safely going down the road. I did not get all the way into the ditch, but it grabbed the side of the gravel road and started to pull me into the ditch before I corrected. And when I got the truck stopped and the elk were long gone, I checked that precious video of my boot. I got 4 seconds of my boot.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's how you
so
like it.
it didn't quite work out for me.
I sometimes reach for the camera when I see a sign. You see something on the side of the road, you're like, that's insane. Sometimes it's an actual road sign.
Yeah.
And I there's one, and I have driven by it several times on I-65 in the state of Kentucky, and every time I'd see it, I'd be like, that is the craziest thing I've ever... It's so funny to me. And the last time I was there, which is months ago, I finally remembered ahead of time. I was like, oh, that sign's coming up. So I got my phone out, and I was ready. And then as I drove past it at, speed limit, I just took 30 pictures, assuming one of them would capture the sign. And it did. And the sign it's one sign, but it is for two different things at the next exit, but it reads as one. It's like you have the first thing, and then you have the second thing, and there's a little line between the two to separate the two, but it's all on one sign. And these are the words on this sign: Dinosaur World, Southern Central Kentucky Cultural Center. There's two different worlds. There's a thing called Dinosaur World where you go and they have giant size, basically made out of paper mache dinosaurs, and kids go, oh, this is what dinosaurs look like. There's another place called the South Central Kentucky Cultural Center. But when you look at that sign, it's as if basically the culture of South Central Kentucky is Dinosaur World, if you see what I'm saying. I don't know. To me, it always struck me as funny.
Interesting. So you took a picture of that?
I took a picture of it. That was the kind of thing that I was like, I need to take a picture of this. Call me crazy. I thought it was funny.
It is funny. I mean, like I said, I always try to stop, especially if I see some good-looking goats or good-looking sheeps, on my way up north or something. I'll always pull over. Get a photo.
Well, that's very responsible of you. Thank you. On behalf of all fellow road travelers, thank you, Candace.
You're welcome.
Just reminds me to keep my goats away from the road, to keep traffic flowing.
Goats love the road.
If you got a goat and Candace is coming by, she's going to snap a pic. Do you find that goats are certain goats more photogenic than others?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to get a good picture of a goat. They're always moving around. And
are they always moving around? I feel like every time I drive past some goats, I'm wondering if they're real or lawn ornaments. I'm like, they don't seem to be moving around a lot. But yeah, I suppose when you're in their presence, I'm sure they're all very excited.
When you're close up with them and you're
the goat whisperer,
out, then they play hard to get. You got to give them some sort of treat or something.
You want eye contact, don't you? Like when people take pictures of their pets, I see that happening all the time. They're trying to get just look right at me, get eye contact. I don't want.
Oh my God!
I don't want Steve Gorman on the cover of an album looking off over there somewhere. I want eye contact, and that's difficult to get from your pets because they're not into the being photographed thing.
You can get a picture of Chauncey very easily at any time because he's almost always just sound asleep. He doesn't know you're coming. I mean, since this show started 2 different times, he's stood up, walked around. He does one lap around the studio and goes right back on his bed and right back to sleep. I'm not really quite sure what he's doing, but he's very photogenic.
Yeah, he is.
He looks good from all sides. He doesn't
knows
have a bad
it too.
side. Oh, he totally knows it. He's like. He's like, what's the Ben Stiller? What's the model character? What's that movie called?
In fact, Zoolander? He just got Zoolander. But yeah, he was just talking about that. He was he brought a Zoolander 2 sequel, and people started savaging him online. He said, I didn't realize people hated Zoolander so much. Yeah, no, I'm a Zoolander fan. I've got that look, blue steel.
Oh, hell
I'll flash it to you after the show.
That was great. That's
Chauncey is our Zoolander.
Yeah, that's it. He's Zoolander Gorman right there. All right, let's look back. On this day in 1962, Cleveland Indians catcher Harry Cheedy was traded to the New York Mets. He's, just a guy, lunch pail of work. Not a great player, had a nice 10-year run, so he was good, but he was not exceptional. He was traded to the New York Mets on this day in 1962. The trade was for a player to be named later, which, you still hear about that, traded for a player to be named later. Cheedy went to New York. He played 15 games for the Mets, but he only was batting .195 when the team decided that the player to be named later was the very same Harry Cheedy. He went back to Cleveland. He was traded for himself.
Ouch, babe.
Yeah.
Still talking about him, though.
Still talking about him. Nice job, Harry. On this day in 1995, we all had a moment where we went, oh, really? And that's because we got news that Howard Cosell had passed away at the age of 77. Started on radio in the 1950s, and then, of course, took over Monday Night Football, and then it was over. Howard Cosell became the most celebrated and most vilified sportscaster at the time, and maybe ever.
Yeah.
He was simultaneously more than once voted most popular and most disliked sportscaster.
I get it. I respected the job he did. I never tuned out. Like, there's a couple of sportscasters. I'm like, nah, don't have time for you. Howard Cosell was never one of them. He always had some really compelling, good stuff, the best stuff. But it didn't escape me that he was probably a huge jerk.
Oh, yeah, no question about it. But
arrogant is a better way to put it.
But his very presence, it elevated. He's one of the few guys that you could say, well, if he's there, it must matter.
Yes.
And so that's really what it comes down to. And to your point, Zepp, here is a quote from Howard Cosell. Arrogant, pompous, obnoxious, vain, cruel, verbose, a show-off. I have been called all of these. And, of course, I am. No one ever said he was not self-aware. He also changed his name as a college student from Cohen to Cosell, and he wore a famous toupee. And there was a big quote about him once. The man who changed his name and wears a toupee is going to tell you how it is. Yeah, okay. That's a pretty good one. I do kind of like that one.
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.